to a violent act. I was not born racist nor grew up racist. I simply became racist after I learned the truth. I started browsing 4chan in May 2020. Extreme boredom. The outbreak of COVID. Browsing because I'm a gun nut.
Gun nut? Like, what gun nut calls themselves a gun nut?
Because I love the outdoors and eventually wound up on Pole. There I learned through infographics, shitposts, and memes that the white race is dying out. The blacks are disproportionately killing whites. The average black takes $700,000 from taxpayers in their lifetime. That the Jews and the elite were behind this. From there I also found other sites, like World Truth Videos, WebRight, Daily Archive, choosing information, and learning the truth. We are doomed by low birth rate and high rates of immigration. I never installed this information until I found these sites, and it's mostly I would get my news, front page of Reddit. Didn't care at the time, but more and more I learned to realize how serious the situation was. Eventually I couldn't take any more time, so eventually I was going to kill myself to escape this fate. My race was doomed and there's nothing I could do about it. But then after browsing Pole one day, man, it's so blurry, man. And it's an interesting little story. Short gif of a man walking into a building and shooting a shotgun through a dark hallway. Didn't think anything of it, but then I saw it again. I looked at the person was. I thought to myself, why did this person do it? Brendan Tarrant. For some searches, I found a 17-minute live stream of him attacking the Al Noor Mosque. Oh, that's the New Zealand one? I actually found his manifesto and I read it and I felt I mostly agreed with him. Finally, I thought to myself, perhaps there's a chance we can combat this. Maybe there's a chance that we could take control and prevent our genocide.
And there's a foul ball. Next offering misses. 2-1. One strike. And the pitch. And one fouled off. 2-2. 2-2 now. Simeon waits. Picks up strikeout number 7. And the Rangers set down in order. Still tied 1-1.
Interesting.
Back now in Toronto. Down to third baseman, Brad Miller.
Leading off to the
line to kick the pitch.
The third baseman, number 13.
That's inside.
Well, after putting up a nice inning on offense, got some runs across, this is where you look for the starter to go out there, have a shutdown inning. Don't give that other team any hope. You just hope that he can get through this inning, get the bats back up there while they're hot.
There's a strike.
As a hitter, you got to learn something from that pitch. He clearly wasn't timed up on the fastball. In a 2-0 count, you have to be ready to do damage.
Now it's even up. Next one just misses. And that's ball 3. The pitch. Swing and a miss. Struck him out. And one gone.
He's got to throw any pitch at any count. 3-2. He goes off speed. Gets the out.
Tyler Naquin getting ready to hit.
One out now.
That one's in there, 0-1. Nope. Next offering misses, and now it's even 1-1.
Who wrote this other one?
Next off is down low.
guy?
Huh. Buffalo mass shooter used the words chaotic in his.
Next pitch is
Nobody
outside.
uses that
Well,
word
these guys have had a hard time
Rod.
scoring in this one. The guy out there on the mound wants to keep attacking, make sure that they don't get any confidence.
Check swing. He went. And a full count now.
One was 2019, one was 2022.
Swing and a base hit.
So he took the whole fucking thing. Just pasted it over. He wrote some shit up about George Soros. So they had to get Soros in there because criticizing Soros now is going to make you a crazy person.
Yeah.
They had to get Soros and the Jews, of course. The
Got
Jews
every
and
single
Jews.
thing that hits every note, right?
Yeah. Jesus. It even has the paradox of the diverse equality in there word for word. That's crazy.
Switch hitting outfield. Leody Taveras.
Right.
First pitch, and that's in for a strike. Naquin leads off first with two down in the inning.
It looks like he even copies the first paragraph too. But he copies it all. He copied it all. It's all copied? That's crazy.
Blindside.
Welcome back, top of the sixth inning. Now the catcher.
His manifesto was the same manifesto as the other person's manifesto?
Back to work.
That's crazy.
Out to short. Connor Falefa throws the first in time. One up, one down. Here's Nathaniel Lowe. In there for strike one.
It really looks like these hitters have been in between with their timing today. Good fastball.
He got a Daily Stormer email account, April 2022, and used that. Is that correct?
Hey, we got
Oh,
one
that's
here.
crazy.
1-1.
The URL says dailystormer.cn.
One ball, two strikes.
Yeah, like nobody in this day and age is like into games. You know what I mean? Like,
Type of site is a neo-Nazi alt-right commentary message board edited by Andrew England.
And he swings and misses at the initial offering.
It's crazy. Crazy. Crazy town. Are you baseballing it up tonight?
a little baseball right now.
A little baseball action. You got a little no-no going or something?
We
Something a
got
little crazy.
4-1 game in the sixth. 2 hits. One was a
Okay.
home run though.
Left a little bit out over the plate. He gave you a little bit of love.
Actually, I don't remember what it was. that he hit.
Through for a hit.
Carla Esparza got married today,
So now it's
wearing her UFC championship belt.
first pitch, not close.
Good speed on the base pass. He handles the bat very well. I wouldn't be surprised if the
That's
skipper
crazy.
puts on some type of hit and run or a run and hit.
Swing and a line drive caught. 7-8-9, 2 up in the home half of the inning.
Oh, the Ukraine CIA simulation has got the video. He's leaving it up for 1 hour, and he posted it 13 minutes ago. He says I posted way worse than this, please. People need to see the truth. Plus, it's already out there, and my account's private. You big brain babies. That's why I follow you, buddy. Oh, fucking, hold on a second. I'm an even bigger G than this. Fucking gonna... I'm gonna screen grab the whole fucking thing. This is how we do it. Alright, I'm not gonna talk for the next 45 seconds.
I love that he
Wow.
streamed it on a platform that I also stream on. That's awesome of me.
Did you hear the scream at the end and him say sorry? Do you know what that was? Man, you're not there. Be a lot cooler if you were there.
dear. Oh dear. So what were you saying? You were saying something and you're like, you're not there, but you know, I was there.
What was it saying?
I think it's about something he said at the end of the video or something.
Oh, yeah. So did you hear the scream and him say sorry at the end of the video?
Sure. Okay.
So like he shoots everybody, but he rolls up on this white guy, and this white guy covers his face and screams, says no, and he says sorry, and moves on.
Does he shoot him? Funny because he shot the white woman at the beginning. I didn't know. I don't know the rest.
Was she white though? She looked kind of like she was Mexican.
We're gonna have to get a forensic analysis.
But I thought he shoots another black guy, another white guy inside that's leaning against the wall, but he didn't mean to.
With you. So the Toronto Blue Jays have a chance to get out of town with a series sweep, and that's big against the division rival.
Yeah, they want to walk out of here feeling really good about what they've done. And sweeps are good, but divisional sweeps are outstanding, especially on the road. They're going to get a tough game from the other side, though, and no one's okay with getting swept in their own building, so they'll be ready as well. First pitch coming your way next.
Yeah, we're going to sweep the Orioles at home.
We go to the bottom of the first. Into the box for Baltimore.
Fucking beautiful Orioles today.
Line of the pitch.
The center fielder.
And that's in for a strike.
No outs here.
Got a foul ball.
Get down 0-2 leadoff, man. Get down 0-2.
What's Luna at right now?
The 500% though today. How about that, eh?
Yeah.
Crazy.
I want to get in, but nobody's selling it that I can use.
If you have BUSD on Binance, you can buy it, I think.
I don't have Binance.
Come on, guys.
Market data is untracked. Coin market wouldn't show me the price.
They just cows are.
Oh, there it is. 40003.
Not shortstop. Number
It's in there for strike one.
Yeah, I wanted to buy some, but it wouldn't let me. Public says they don't know when they're gonna sell it again. Weevil says they don't know when they're gonna sell it again. Uphold says the same thing.
Gathers and throws to first. And the home first moving along quickly today. Two gone. There's Ryan Mountcastle. Swings through that one. 0-1. And he's down 0-2.
Hey, two-way now.
Swings through it. Pitches downstairs.
Tough to take a two-strike changeup that just missed. They get frozen.
Stays alive.
Well, he got challenged with a good fastball right there. Just couldn't catch up.
And a pitch. This one in the air right field.
Damn.
And that is that.
I just read your message on Twitter.
Nothing doing this time around for the O's.
5 years in a
No
row.
score.
First time.
Yeah, I went to 7 games, 5 years in a row in the first round.
There was 5 games in the bubble, but
But it was still first round every year.
At the ball.
Count 1-0.
Well, what's the problem? What's the hump? Why can't you get over it? What's going on? Sucks at the end, not physical enough.
He's clearly trying to work him away.
Stars don't play, coach makes mistakes, refs fuck you over every time. I mean, like, what seems to be the pattern? Just a curse overall? It's always something?
always. In 93, it was Wayne Gretzky literally high stick the player to the point where he was bleeding, and they never called it. And people always said it was because they never wanted to have 2 Canadian teams in the Stanley Cup final, and at that time, the way the conferences were, it would have been Toronto, Montreal.
Who are they afraid in the other side? Right now.
What?
Hey, here we go.
Like, I know we got, we're on your side, though. So they're going, Tampa's going on to play Florida, and we're playing The winner of the Rangers Penguins game.
You're doing pretty good.
I feel like we can. Yeah, I'm hoping for the. I'm hoping for the Penguins to win so we can beat up Crosby's. Crosby was Penguins for a while. Rangers came in ranked higher all the season.
Yeah, the goalies have been good.
Excuse me.
Got one down now. One down.
Is he new?
Hey, plays it too. Let's roll it on.
Is he that weird Russian guy?
Just searching.
Sorry.
I don't know.
Russian. Mother Russia. She is from Mother Russia. That's a balk. Now that you mentioned it, since you want to argue, say one more word and you're out of here. I tossed him. Don't breathe on me, son. With that odor. You've been out here throwing pitches for the last half hour. You got the stink breath. Don't argue with me. I'll call whatever I call. Man. I wish the streaming was really live.
Why? What do you mean by that?
Like, there's no delay. That's it. Easier to understand. Because then I can see your pictures in real time and make commentary on your shit in real time, and it makes sense to you. In baseball, I feel like I'm always good.
Are you watching?
I'm going to be here in a second.
The whole page?
Strikeout situation right there. The infield playing back, and this pitcher has to step off and get the swing and miss. Really nice job of attacking the hitter at the plate. Pretty good crew out of
I'm just now watching the replay of the strikeout.
And now Karen Vavra will get a chance to hit.
6 seconds behind 5.5 here.
Hey, we got two down.
Swing and a miss. I got one ball, one strike.
Hey, come on now.
Nothing here in the bottom of the second. Swing and a miss. One ball, 1 and 2 strikes.
Oh. He didn't call that first one a strike on the corner outside?
No, that one was out. Garbage.
He got this full in the same pitch, in the same spot, 3 straight pitches.
At the belt and fire. The foul ball, he stays alive. No score here in the second.
Bitch.
Swing and a miss. Out number 3. Orioles leave it loaded.
And no strikeout.
No score.
Is that you with the mullet right there?
There was no hit. Yeah, I got the mustache.
Is you rocking the hard mullet right there? I haven't seen your ugly mug in some time.
And here comes
I got hair like that right now.
strike to the left.
That's it. Last time I think I watched a stream, you were bald. I know. No, I've watched it since then. You must have had hair.
Plays at 1 now.
You don't bat?
The line of the pitch.
No, I'm just playing my pitcher.
High fly ball left field.
Wow.
Gurriel handles the chance, and there's one down.
I have a batter too, but he's not really leveled up.
Number 2.
But totally different like multiverse, if you will.
Yeah, it's like a whole different.
Yeah. Plays for the Blue Jays, but on a totally different Blue Jays team.
Yeah, like I'm still in AA.
He can't play on the same team with your pitcher.
This guy's definitely a plus runner, but what I love about him is that he goes all out every single time, never takes a break. It's guys like that, even though they don't have
Rush for 50 in 5 plays and win the game. Okay.
Moves on the base path.
I might play a little
Offering misses, and it's 2-1.
Rush on foul at 50. Yeah, you get some free shit. And the new season's about to start. Just really sucks because the old season, they restart all your shit.
What?
They restart all your level ups and stuff every season.
Oh, really?
Yeah, like I'm fucking far, you know, like.
Is it a new season?
It's about to start, I think, in the next couple days.
Before the new game? This is weird. This new game comes in like August or something?
Maybe.
Swing and a miss.
Quickly in an 0-2 count, you've got to figure out a way to shorten your path to the baseball. Put it in play somewhere, then you got a chance.
And a swing and a miss. And that's that. 3 up, 3 down for the Orioles. Still behind by a count of 1-0.
I mean, they still haven't got a hit. I loaded the bases, but they were all long.
Now the right fielder, Trey Mancini. It's 2-0. Come on, guys. 2-0 is in for a strike.
No outs here.
The wind of the pitch. Fouls one off to the 2. Righty delivers. Next off is outside.
3-2. For that guy to come right at you with a fastball, something in the zone, because he does not want to allow the leadoff walk.
And a pitch. Down on strikes, and he knew it.
Frustrating end to the at-bat for the hitter, and I'm sure that's going to sit on him for a little while. You want to be ready to hit the fastball.
Fuck was he watching that for?
Overthink things, and I think that
Just staring at it.
He stared it down, man, like it wasn't.
Statue.
Hey, get ahead, stay ahead.
97. Sometimes I throw it at 93 too to fuck with it.
Yeah, but he fucking. He watched it the whole time. They call that a ball?
Just fuck with me on the bottom corner. Like wall corner. Bitch.
If any part of the ball catches that plate, it's a strike.
I honestly, like, the way I think it should be is, I mean, I agree with that. I think that's how it should be. But I could see, like, calling it 50-50.
A 50-50 ball is a strike, and if more than 50% of the ball over the line is over the line, it's a ball. Oof. Because you're talking about, like, that would come down to, like, computer.
And if, like, what you're talking about here, like.
Yeah, and, like, 51% of the ball was outside.
Like, in this game, you can set it where it's, like, and I don't know how it works to do that, because I've always just played where it's, like, realistic umps, where they have, like, tendencies.
Pitch is outside.
He's been raking in recent games, and a big reason why, getting ahead in counts. He's been able to do that consistently, and you see the
A lot of it is like how you're pitching. Like, if you start missing zone a bit, they start getting real bad with you.
The fastball out of the zone can be very effective. Just got to keep it on the corners.
Strike 2.
2-2 count.
Do nothing about my changeup.
How hard is it to pitch in this game.
I mean, it's literally just that low bar. Like, it's
1, 2,
crazy.
3, go the Orioles. They're down.
Hit that bar all night long. Difficulty, so you see.
And welcome back. Ready to go for the last half of the inning. And now, leading off.
No base hits in the series for him so far.
Hey, nobody.
It's clearly been a rough one. You just hope he's not pressing too hard because that just compounds things. It makes the slump even longer. Never seemed to help. Never helped. Me.
Hey, plays that one now.
Swing and a miss.
Got a ball, 1 strike.
Count even at 1. Next offer is in for a strike.
A little frustrated with the strike zone.
Looking.
Well, that's like the best two-strike fastball I've seen, but certainly got away with the location there. You know, sometimes
And what, another one just watched it go straight down the middle?
Watching. What are you gonna do? Like, look at these looks.
you
Like,
just get a little
look
bit
at these
knocked
looks.
up on something down the heart of the plate, not expecting it, and it just kind of freezes you.
Next for the Orioles, Shane Glass. He was the strikeout victim his first time. That one's in there, 0-1.
All right, come on now.
Pretty quiet in this series. Still doesn't have a knock. I know you want to get that first knock out of the way. Maybe more will come, but you got to get some credit to the pitching staff. They've had a great plan against him. 2 up today.
The second baseman.
How hard was that?
Here's the second baseman,
Yeah.
I mean, it's easy to fuck up, but
Yep.
that one came right.
Get ahead right now.
in there for strike 1. The Orioles still looking for their first hit in this one. Next pitch,
down, 1-1.
close up high.
Man, the Seahawks have had the ball for 3 plays. I have sacked Russell Wilson 3 plays, and he fumbled the ball 3 times. He recovered it the first time. I scooped it for a TD the second, and I just scooped it and got tackled this third time. 3 plays. And I'm just trying to run up the fucking clock.
And down on strikes he goes. And the Orioles set down in order. Orioles held in check there, and it remains. Back here at the ballpark, here's the center fielder, Colton Cowser.
Leading off for the Orioles, the center fielder.
Randall back to work. And there's the strike.
It really looks like these hitters have been in between with their timing today. Good fastball, excellent slider, but they've not been able to commit to one velocity and stay there.
Plays that first now.
And he deals. Got a good eye there.
That's ball
Next
3.
offering is downstairs.
There's
I
an
got 3-1.
opportunity to do
3
some
balls,
damage
1
and
strike.
perhaps unlock this offense. 3-1 count. Be ready to turn on a fastball.
Missed that. I thought you were...
Again,
Oh, this is a totally different game?
3-2.
Same game.
I thought you were up 4-1.
Up 4-1.
Hey, we got no
I was up.
Wait.
I had won the last game. Yeah, this is the second game we're playing. Yeah, that was gone. No hitting the Orioles.
Here we go.
Ooh, really nice. Sometimes I miss by like the opposite end of the plate and the opposite top of the plate, and then right on the corner is perfect.
Here comes a pitch. And he walked it.
Yeah.
That could jumpstart an offense that's really struggled to score in this one. Don't want to wake the team up with 3 guys.
Ball, that's out.
And did the 2 away as he
Well,
takes
that's
the
a big
ball.
call.
Hey, let's
That's a
turn it.
big
Plays a 2 now.
call.
Now, this guy's definitely looking for a big swing of the bat right here. Trying to close that gap. At the very least, if you can find a way to manufacture that run from first, it feels like it's really important to getting back into this ball game.
Balls up. Next pitch is popped up.
You got it.
Me.
Squeezes it. One away.
All right.
And the batter now, Ryan Mountcastle.
First baseman. Ryan.
Uh-oh. That hung.
One hammered.
That hung. Oh, that's gone. Oh, that's gone. Fuck. That hung like a fucking bitch, dude.
The season, and they slice into the lead. It's 3-2.
The big hitter gets pitch recognition early. He saw exactly where that was going to be. The challenge, not get over anxious and come out of your swing. He stayed on it and got all of it.
Trey Mancini now.
Damn.
First pitch doesn't find the zone.
Kicked it off to Seattle and made him fumble it. While they returned it.
He's too
Ball
good.
two. Misses. That's ball two.
Well, usually a high level of confidence when you're facing a young pitcher out there on the mound. Okay with getting deep in the count, even falling behind. But in this situation, ahead 2-0.
Plays it first
Put
now.
himself in a really good spot.
Next offering clips the zone count even at 2.
I got to count 2 and 2.
Next one is off the plate. And it's 3-2. Still only one out here in the inning. Looking.
I think we'll start lucky.
Number 2.
Well, just excellent location on that inside fastball.
I hope so.
Really locked it
I hope
up
so.
there. As a hitter, it's not typically what you're looking
I hope so. I hope
for.
proof
You're
of.
trying to protect
Oh, Ty Boogeyman.
and then in, so
Cut
you
that
can be a
mullet
little
just a bit
tardy with
outside.
2 strikes. Hard to tell
I
if
don't
he was
have to-
fooled or if he thought it would be called a ball, but either way, it's
Hey,
a really nice.
guess what happened?
What? You sacked Russell Wilson?
Now the Orioles
Yeah.
catcher, Adley Rutschman.
It was cool.
I think you're getting sacked.
2 down.
They said try to win the game. It was 3-7. It's 35-7 now. Maybe 0-7. Shit, they scored 5 times.
What do you know, Ty? What the hell do you think?
What does Ty know?
Mullet, dude. What do you know about my mullet?
If you hang another one over the plate to my boy Ryan Mountcastle, man, he's gonna take a yard again.
Gonna be fun.
He's a good player too. He's one of those utility style that plays 8 positions. He puts up good numbers. I've had him on my team both this year and I think and last year for sure. If he's not on my team, he's
He might be really
definitely
good. He really is.
That's his second.
who
I thought he
Mountcastle.
was just first base outfielder.
7th inning coming up.
I think he's second as well. He had 3 last year. I know that, and I used him as a utility guy.
Well, this is a nice sweep. Good way to finish this series. You're headed to another city for another one. Got to maintain a
6
same
innings
focus.
pitched,
Whatever
1
you're
hit,
doing in this city,
11
do
strikeouts.
the same thing in the next one.
4 walks.
Eat the
That's
same
not
thing,
good.
sleep the same way, get to the ballpark at the same time.
And the final
With the
score
dub.
here, 4-3. And the road team picks
Did you
up
look
the
at the
win
dub for
and
that?
picks up a sweep. For Chris Singleton and our entire outstanding crew here at MLB The Show,
They made it
I'm John
3-3 on a
Shabby
reliever in the
saying
8th.
So long.
Yeah, I don't think the dope for. That's fucking good. Fuck. I got my 20. Yeah, I got my. I'm trying to get my 20th point. Alright, Boogeyman, where you at? You wanna play some Warzone?
Is that 28 on the season? The 20th one of the year?
No, 19. I'm trying to get my 20th.
Hmm. How much longer do y'all got in the season?
That's like one of my last 2 thirds.
Did they pull you too early?
Well, they always pull me in the fucking 6 like little bitches. Actually, that's my fault. My last start. Yeah. Playoff
Did
was-
you win?
No, I didn't get the dub in that one, so my...
You were up 3-2. What happened?
The fucking reliever blew it up in the 8th. We won 4-3. Yeah, 19-4. Finish the season on because of that bullshit. It happens all the time. And I'm like, and I'll have like 80 or 90 pitches. I'm like, what the fuck, dude? I'm so pissed. Stamina still be green and shit. You don't trust me, it's my like second year. It takes, but like I'm only an 80 overall, but I got better stats than all the other ones. Who have great stats, like they're all like top. Killing it. You know, some of them beat me in any speech though. Just don't trust me. I'm gonna strike out more.
You in the Cy Young?
Yeah, I'll get this one for sure. I had them more like strikeouts than the next guy, by like 100. It's a good year. I think it's my first. Yeah, it's my first full year in the. They called me up like not right at the beginning. If they called me up right at the beginning, we'll get 20 wins for sure. They got their issues. Pitching WAR is 8.2. Shohei Ohtani is 5.0. That's like way third lower than everyone. Like 21 walks allowed on the year. .70 lower ERA. Like what a beast! Like how is he this good at pitching? Who is this guy? Where did he come from? Late round draft pick. People going nuts for him. Do a little squats. Ooh, bitch. Come on, give me gold. Yeah, bitch. Oh, I couldn't get 8. Oh. Playoffs versus the Astros.
You're gonna lose.
Here we go. I'm not gonna lose because I'm gonna turn it off if we ever lose. And reload.
Don't do that, Skay. Yeah, but you can only win your one game. What if you lose the series?
That's what I'm saying. If I lose the series, I just restart back and. You know, I'll win game one. I mean, I wonder actually. Actually, I don't even
So
know.
you're gonna be winning the World Series right now, huh? No matter what.
I mean, I don't know.
Your first big league game and then
Maybe I'll lose in the World Series.
But then you just turn it off and turn it back on and play it again until you
Maybe I'll
win.
win the World Series at that point.
So yes, you're gonna win the World Series. Okay.
almost a different game. And
Who knows what could have happened? Baseball. So, you're gonna tell me what the series is?
From inside Rogers Center in downtown Toronto, MLB The Show brings you the American League Division Series. It's the Houston Astros and the Toronto Blue Jays. Alongside my partner, Chris Singleton, I'm John Shampi. Thanks for joining us here. And Singy, there's been a lot to talk about already in this series as we head into Game 4.
And I'll be interested to see if these teams approach it any differently.
Okay, Game 1, Toronto. Game 2, Houston. Game 3, Toronto. We're up 2-1 right now. I'm pitching Game 4.
In Houston or in Toronto? Oh, you're in Toronto. So we got the home field.
Certainly change in this type of game. It's hard to manage the same way when in any given at-bat, it can impact everything you've been working for throughout the season. And we'll be back to the first pitch right after this. Just about set. And towing the slab in this one, Joe Randall.
Power pitcher. He's going to speed you up with the fastball velocity, and out of his hand will explode the breaking ball. Very difficult for hitters to keep that front side closed and hit the ball the other way because they know if they're not ready to pull the trigger, the fastball will beat.
All right, ready to get underway. Stepping in for the Astros, Jose Altuve.
Hey, come on now, come on. Hey, no outs now.
Mm-hmm. Ty Big joined the party, never heard him. Probably joined the party, been talking the whole time, mic on mute and shit.
All right.
Stop by the Stadium Store, located on the main concourse, to pick up all of your postseason souvenirs. We've got hats. We've got shirts. We've got jerseys.
Slider off the hop.
Randall back to work. That misses. Watch out. And we're underway here in game 4. And foul ball left side. The 1-1. This one popped up.
You go, you go.
Flyjabberwocky makes the catch, and there's one down. Now it's going to be Jake Myers.
Jake Myers.
And he swings and misses, and it's nothing at all.
Well, when you come off a tough one-run loss in the postseason, you'll be looking back at the opportunities that you missed in the previous game and make sure that you don't miss them in this one.
No score, just getting started, top of the first. Next pitch is popped up.
I got it.
Guerrero pulls it down, and there's 2 down. 2 outs, base is empty. And next to hit for Houston, Yordan Alvarez. Big time power. First offering misses the mark. Next pitch misses. Ball 2.
2 count, great hitter at the dish. If you're going to miss, you've got to miss outside the zone. You miss inside the strike zone, you'll be asking the umpire for a new baseball.
The count 2-1. That's in there. That's strike 2. What? Bounce to third. Grabs it barehanded. And he
Let's go.
1-2-3 go the Astros. On to the bottom of the first. No score. Back here at Rogers Center is Kyle Tucker. The right-hander back to work. Here's the strike. Swing and a miss as he was out front. Ricky Holiday, our umpire behind the dish, known as pretty fair umpire for both hitters and pitchers.
Yeah, I think that's right, Boo. There is a little inconsistency on the corners of the plate. You can't always be sure how it's going to go with those borderline pitches as the game progresses.
This is Alex Bregman. First offering, and it just missed.
Come on, guys.
First offering misses. 2-0.
2-0 count to a guy like this at the plate. You've got to throw a pitcher's pitch. Don't just try to get a strike. He could make you pay.
That's fucking off.
Is down low.
1 out. You got 1.
And that's ball 4.
Nope. Ball 4.
4 pitches. That's an easy walk, man. He could have walked me right there, Boo. The last one wasn't even close.
Here's the Delcino. In there, and it's 0-1. The next pitch misses. 1-1.
I got a ball, 1 strike.
Bregman at first, 1 gone. That one hammered, but pulled foul.
Here we go, guys. Let's go.
In the dirt. Chaz McCormick now at the plate. And he swings and misses at the initial offering. Next offering is in for a strike.
Love how vocal the umpire is today. No doubt in the hitter's mind.
And he's got him. Strike 3, and that'll retire the side. So the Astros lead 1, still behind by a count of 1-0. All set for the start of the inning. Now here is Austin Allen. Now a step off the rubber to reset.
Hey, nobody on. Hey, come on, guys.
The right-hander back to work. Ball one. That one just misses. A ball and no strikes. The pitch. Hey. And a count 1-2. And the right-hander deals. Left field. Gurriel settles underneath it. And makes the grab. And there's one away.
Batting nine.
Shea Whitcomb will hit next. That one's in there, 0-1.
Now, this guy is just filling up the strike zone right now. Don't want to get yourself in an 0-2 hole. You better be ready to pull the trigger on the first pitch.
Next one misses.
1-1.
And the count is 1-1.
Nope,
Next
that's a
offering
ball.
misses. And it's 2-1.
The count is
Hey, plays it first. Plays it first.
On the ground to the left. Chapman handles. Tosses across the first. First two batters retired here in the top of the third.
Now that
He's the former MVP, Jose Altuve. He's 0 for 1. And the first pitch misses for ball one.
Ball one, no strike.
Next pitch misses.
2-0.
Count is 2-0. This to third. Sends it across the first. And they get Altuve for the out. And the Astros put down in order. Astros go down 1-2-3. They trail it here 2-0. Welcome back. And now,
Here
Jake
we go, guys. Let's go.
leading off the
Randall back to work.
Jake.
And there's a ball.
It is not a ball, my guy.
Swings through that one.
Good speed at the top of the order here. You want to get it on. See if you can get a stolen base. Maybe get around the bases and pick up a run.
Next offering in the dirt. And that's ball two. Two 2-1 pitch is in there, and the count is even. Swing and a miss. Struck him out. Leadoff hitter retired in the fourth.
No, there's a small sigh of relief right there. I mean, just to keep that speed off the base paths. It's not just the pitcher. It's other guys that have to think about it. From your infielders, have to think about that runner potentially stealing, but also be in position to make a play. As an outfielder, you're thinking about a base hit to the outfield. I got to get to it quickly to try to keep this guy from taking an extra base. So I think everyone just a little more relaxed that he didn't reach base.
Next offering misses. 1-0. That's ball one. That one not close. 2-1. The Stros hitless so far in the game. Next pitch misses way outside. Out towards left center. Gurriel on the move. And makes the grab. 2 down. Two outs, base is empty. And next will be the cleanup hitter, Kyle Tuck. In there for strike one.
Not sure if he was expecting for the pitcher to come right at him, but he got a nice cookie there and just watched it the entire way.
Check swing, but he went too far. No balls, 2 strikes. down, nobody on. And downstairs.
Really good take, especially with 2 strikes.
The next pitch misses, and it's 2-2.
2-2, Sam.
Next offering is fouled back. Now it's
Got a full count. 3-2.
And it's swing and a miss. And that's right.
I think the key is arm action on the changeup. If you can sell it like a fastball, you drop the velocity, you get the swing and miss, and you walk off the field.
We go to the top of the 5th. And stepping in for the Astros, Alex Bregman.
The third baseman, number 2, Alex Bregman.
Pitch. And first offering is fouled off. Next offering is in for a strike. And he gets Bregman. So the leadoff hitter retired in the 5th.
Wow, short work to sit in the packet to start the inning, and no messing around either. All 3 pitches were in the strike zone, attack mode all the way, and that's pretty impressive given the pop he was dealing with at the plate.
So up next, Miguel Sano. He was a strikeout victim his first time. And that's in there for strike 1.
Well, on the mound, very efficient, able to produce an outcome, it seems like, within the 3rd or 4th pitch of just about every at-bat.
0-2 as he waves at that one.
Well, you got the hitter already chasing that nasty slider. If you're on the mound, you just want to expand the zone. Get a swing and miss and get through this at-bat.
That
One
hits
ball,
the
2
dirt.
strikes, Miguel.
Now 1-2. Next offering misses. And the count is 2-2. Swing and a miss. And he's down on strikes. That's out number 2.
That was a pretty good pitch. Top of the strike zone. We're seeing more fastballs in that location. Hitters, especially with 2 strikes, have to be ready to pull the trigger.
McCormick now at the plate as he swings through strike 1. And that one ripped to left. And it goes just foul. Next pitch inside, and it's 1-2. Ground ball up the middle. Bichette whips it to first. And that is that. Nothing doing there. All right, we go to the top half of inning number 6. At the plate is the Astros catcher.
Come on, guys, come on.
Line and pitch. And that one fouled off. Left-hand batter waits. And that one wrapped foul.
Nobody out here. Nobody.
Swings through that, and it's a strikeout. Leadoff man retired in the 6th.
I think he might have gotten away with one right there. That was a very hittable pitch right over the heart of the plate, and I know that batter is kicking himself right now. They'd like to get that pitch again. Just pulled the string on it, and the deception gets him.
Get ahead, stay ahead.
Shea Whitcomb up next for the Astros. First pitch doesn't find the zone. Next offering is downstairs.
2-0. Hey, we got one.
Straight up, straight up. Popped up.
All you, all you.
Under it.
Got it, I got it.
Puts the squeeze on it and 2 down.
That was a good pitch to hit right down the heart of the plate. Had pretty good timing on it. Just got underneath a little bit and popped it up.
So the Houston lineup turns over. Jose Altuve up next for the Astros. First pitch, and that's in for a strike.
0-1's the
It
count.
really looks like these hitters have been in between with their timing today. Good fastball, excellent slider, but they've not been able to commit to one velocity and stay there.
Guerrero ranging back.
2 down. You got 2 down.
The 0-2.
3.
That's at number 3. So he's through 6 no-hit innings now. Part of the order, 3, 4, 5 coming up. Blue Jays 2 and the Astros nothing. New inning getting started. Here's the speed.
Yeah, I've been listening and not giving you any audio. I didn't want to jinx it.
The designated hitter,
Pitch.
Jake Miles.
Strike 1.
Hey, we got no one here.
Big swing and a miss.
He's been very consistent with his command out there on the mound, consistently throwing at the knees. Pretty impressive when a guy can repeat his delivery like this.
Fires over to Guerrero. And the leadoff hitter set down to open the 7th.
Well, he's doing a nice job of keeping the ball out of the air. Lets the defense work behind it with another down ball. Good execution.
Alvarez. Now the box
0-1.
comes up empty with a swing there. Down on strikes. And there's 2 away.
Oh, too cute.
2 outs, base is empty. Now for right fielder, Alan Tucker. That hits the
Count
dirt.
1-0.
1-0.
You know, he's been so great today. Really just throwing whatever the catcher puts down. He hasn't shaken off the catcher very much at all today.
1 ball, 1 strike.
Even up.
So impressive how the velo is still there, even this deep into the outing.
Swings and misses.
The count
And the
is
count
1
is
and
1 and 2. Strikeouts have been a big part of the success in not allowing a hit. Line drive. Biggio throws to first in time. That ends the frame. Astros are down quietly, and they're down 2-0. Back now in Toronto. Now it's Alex Bregman.
Leading off the Houston, the third baseman, number 2.
Randall back to work. Strike on the outside edge.
Well, they say it's the best pitch in baseball. Strike 1. You get ahead. Oh, good hitter as well. He's a little bit more confidence to move to the at-bat.
And the righty deals.
0-1.
That one misses. It's a
1
ball
ball,
and 2 strikes.
2 strikes.
Next one just misses. Now 2
2
and
balls,
2.
2 strikes.
Next pitch just misses. And that's ball 3.
Oh my god. That's what I'm saying, dude.
They turn things over to the
That's what I'm
southpaw,
saying.
Tim Mason. This
I don't know why I have those on.
velocity
Number 1. Like, who would do something like that to somebody playing their game?
That's crazy as fuck, dude.
Right? Like,
Win, they can move on to the next round.
got a bruise on my
Relax
finger.
a
Like,
little bit more. Congratulations, boys. Get ready for the ALCS.
I meant to fuck.
You won the game, it looks like.
Yeah. They won the LDS. Eliminated the fucking.
Did they get a hit?
Mm-hmm.
Fans our final line score tonight. First
No runs.
victorious Blue Jays. 3 runs on 7 hits. No errors. They left 7 on base. For the Astros, no runs, just 1 hit. No errors. They left 4 men on
So now we see if I'm injured for a long period of time.
Time of the ball game, 2 hours and
Turning it
41
on.
minutes.
Oh. 6th and 7th inning. 2 balls, 1 ball. Forced to miss a few.
Pitcher is congratulated on one of the rarest accomplishments in sports. It's a day he'll never forget.
What is in the top right corner up there?
Where?
A couple screens back. It's okay, don't worry about it. Something about the injury.
Yeah, it said, I'm gonna miss a few games. But I don't know. Fully recovered from the injury.
You always say
Oh, I missed the
playoff
whole.
baseball's an all its
See, so I missed the whole
unique, and for
series.
some players, they'll never
And we
forget
lost.
the sights and the sounds of experiencing time. What should they bear in mind?
Thought you said Ty joined the party.
Who'd you listen to? A long time ago, I joined.
On my other accounts in here, but I didn't hear Ty join. But I go whale.
He never talked, not once.
See, now that sucks. Like, do I want to play that fucking game again? I don't want to start a new season. No, I just play FIFA. Oh no, you threw 80 pitchers in a game.
And you're gonna give you a bruise on your finger.
A bruise on your finger. You're gonna miss all your starts in the LCS. Ooh.
It's because you come from poor stock, man.
Crazy. Didn't level up my durability enough during the season.
Should have leveled up your, got you some thicker skin on your fingertips during the season.
EA Sports. It's in the game.
Gonna collect my rewards. dog is making me hot. I'll be right back. No, stay. Why are you getting that phone? She left and I turned on the fucking air conditioner, so that won't be a problem anymore.
Our baseball game is going to be pretty good tomorrow.
Yeah. Turned out to be a good game. Did you see what happened to my pitchers today?
Yeah, the rest ended up getting the points, so.
No, I'm saying like all the pitchers that I started 4 pitchers today. 3 of them got bumped from their starting spot after the first game had already started.
Really?
Mm-hmm. It's crazy. Yeah, and I had already.
That's what I thought. Because I thought it was earlier, and I thought like you had Saturday.
What are you up now? Did Mookie do anything?
Yeah, Mookie's at 10 right now, so.
What did Trey Turner and your catcher do?
Catcher put up 5 now. Turner's still sitting at 4.
Oh, so you're still just up 2?
Up by like less than 20.
They do the game. I always get everybody's best offensive. Like, I mean, I appreciate getting your best, you know. I look forward to the shitty weeks where I get to play the shitty people. It's an easy one. Yeah. I had Yanks, Proof, Stu, and you. Yeah. It's wild. Yanks gotta be cheating again.
Defenders, Derek, hate playing against players with pace, and he's got plenty of pace to run it. He does it perfectly. Comes short, then spins him behind.
Man, I want to play some more of this, but I don't really. I want to get my daily coin pack, but I feel like I just need to play one more. Nope, bedtime. Holler. I gotta work all day tomorrow again. I know. Later, dude. Later.
Well, they should be ahead now. Yes, it was a good save, Derek, but he should score from there.
What can they do from here? Good, sir. Well, flinging himself at it.
Well, the crowd is driving their team on here. They're surely going to score soon.
Aware of the threat, solving the problem. Beautifully disguised ball. Moving forward effectively. Rebounder. Well, great read there to intercept. Nunez. Can they create something from here? Mastery of the passing game. The pass could do damage. Oh, but he's done brilliantly to cut it out. Barina. Still passing it around with authority. Terrific block. Just cutting off the supply.
Well, as the stats confirm, Benfica have been the more dominant team over the last 15 minutes. They've created plenty of chances and looking at constant threat. You feel they have to take the lead at some point with this sort of domination.
He's lost it. And a clear foul, but the referee letting the play flow. Now what can they do from here? And he takes on the shot. The attack carried promise, but
Flyjabberwocky. Oh, moving it nicely. Delivered into the box. Not quite the clearance they were hoping for. Well, no damage done. Sebastian Aller. Grimaldo with it. Aller. And this is vital. The keeper was never likely to be in trouble there. Aller. Flyjabberwocky. So the whistle then, we're at the halfway stage. The teams are ready to have a go at each other again as the second half commences. Sebastian Aller. Excellent challenge. Breaking at pace. All hands on deck. Delivering it into the box. Body on the line. And the teams are locked together. Will it stay that way following this corner? Goalkeeper's ball every day of the week. Sebastian Aller. Rafa. Darwin Núñez. Tremendously strong in the tackle. So a throw in here. And they're making a change. There's been so much talk about a potential transfer, but it's potential no more. It's fact.
Well, certainly a lot of focus on the boy over the last year or two, and he seems to have a bright future ahead of him. Hopefully it turns out to be a good move, and he can continue to develop his career.
Can he find the net? Well, able to close down the shot. Can they forge ahead? Well, they would have done, and it's no need for the keeper.
Well, they should be ahead now. Yes, it was a good save, Derek, but he should score from there.
And it's clear as lines. An effective challenge. Well, sitting deep like this might be a dangerous game. And there. There's the goal! And you could almost see that coming. They were sitting ever deeper. And now they've really paid the price.
Well, just look at this. It's a good finish and reward for their pressure. They really have controlled this game.
And a substitution in the offing. The ball is moving once more. How important will that opening goal prove to be? Happiness. Excellent use of the ball as they make their way forward. Now the cross work out for them. And a sole counts for naught. Just the challenge that was required.
I was scared. I got real scared on that one. Alright. Oh, that's
Doesn't get away with it. Free kick given. Joao Mario.
oh,
The quickest pass, easily intercepted.
Go basketball, Mario.
Well, we have 20 minutes left in this game. Well, counter chance looks very real. Nunez.
Ooh.
Well, that's how to break the spirit of the attacker. Nice looking pass. Space and time for the cross. No way through. He wants to finish. Oh, it was there for him.
Well, it's not a good finish, is it? That was a glorious opportunity.
And it's almost over, but not quite. The fans still with a bit of nail biting to do, Stuart.
Yeah, just about edging it overall. It's been a really tight game, hasn't it? Chances at a premium, and you have to praise their defending in that regard. Just got to see out the final few minutes now. No silly mistakes at the back.
Can they create something from here? And options in the centre.
What the hell?
Nicely cut out.
Oops.
Illegal play, and hence a free kick. Good looking sequence. Spot on with that tackle. And into an attacking position. It's not too late for them. Could be threatening. Needs an accurate cross.
Oh, okay.
Goal kick after that poor touch.
Full touch. That's a very full touch.
Darwin Nunez. Defensive resilience to shut them down. And draining it forward. It didn't happen for them in attack. Rafa. And it's with Roman Yaremchuk. An effective challenge. Let's see if something comes of this. The referee blows for full time. It ends in a victory for the home team. No complaints from the fans here.
Yes,
All right, we did it. Koksu? Koksu? stupid game. Weird. What the hell? Why did it take like... Jeez. Oh no. Stupid. I don't want to train nothing. Right, another little gamey.
Maybe the why, if you are a fan or know. Maybe the why, if you are a fan or know of Monsieur Kevin Samuels. Do you know of Kevin Samuels? Have you heard of him? Just hit me with the why. I need to know where you guys are. Yeah, so about 50-50. So Kevin Samuels was a YouTuber and an image consultant. He's 57 years old, and he took on female delusions of every race. I mean, he was a black guy, and so a lot of the people who called in were black women, but he dealt with every race. And I think pretty even-handedly. He was more blunt than I would be, but then, of course, I grew up British, where politeness can sometimes be a bit scurvy-ish. And he just died. Just died. Like 57 years old, he just died. I mean, that's some wild stuff. And did you know that half of all heart attacks, fatal heart attacks, I think, they occur in men under 65? Now, he was chugging energy drinks like there was no tomorrow. I guess perhaps literally like there was tomorrow. I have no idea what his vaccination status was. I think he traveled quite a bit, but that's no necessary proof of anything. But here's the story. Now, he was very blunt, and again, harsher than I would be, but, you know, tough love has its place, and he was like razor sharp. I mean, this man debating, it was impossible to gaslight the man. I mean, he just came back swinging at every fog, gaslight, redirection. He was a master at piercing through the veil of self-delusion, and about as smart a guy as you could possibly imagine, and I think had some good intentions and a good heart, and very passionate about his own community in particular, very passionate about the success of the black community. One of the things that he would talk about quite consistently was that black women in particular now were not as noble and heroic and family-oriented and mature and hardworking as black women in the past. He would regularly say to women, your grandmothers were better than you are. And he was very blunt. And he'd seen a lot in this life, and he'd do these epic live streams. I never watched one end to end. I just dipped into the clips from time to time. But he would do these live streams like hours and hours long. And quite a guy, an agent for change in this world, and I admired him. I thought he was very caring. Now, there's this thing where we have these days, if anyone's upset, it's someone else's fault and it can't be an act of caring. That's not the way I grew up. And that doesn't mean it's necessarily right or wrong. But this idea that if you're upset, that means that something bad is happening, something unloving is happening. It's very, very big. You seem to be drinking alcohol with Red Bull. That does not seem like a good combination. Does not seem like a good combination. But yeah, blunt. And there is caring in bluntness. There is caring in, you know, when you see like The Biggest Loser, right? Like this show about extreme dieting doesn't seem to work very well. People tend to pack on the pounds back afterwards because it's an unsustainable lifestyle. It's the more dramatic the change, the less sustainable the lifestyle is. But you know, you got people getting yelled at. When I was a coach, when I was being coached in sports, people would be pretty harsh at me. When I got feedback on writing or creativity or plays that I wrote or auditions that I was doing as an actor and so on, yeah, pretty blunt. People were pretty blunt, and there was tough love in all of that. And to me, it's one of the most famous moments in the classic movie The Godfather, where you've got this singer who's weeping because he's not getting a part in a movie. And it's supposed to be based on Frank Sinatra, perhaps, so I don't know, right? Fontana, I think the singer's name is. And Don Corleone, he's crying, and you know, there's this acting that's quite passionate and so on, and Don Corleone just stands up and slaps him in the face. He says, "What are you doing? What are you crying for? Be a man! Stop crying!" And I think that's the kind of tough love that sometimes... Johnny Fontaine. Thank you, Johnny Fontaine. Can you see all of us? No, you're just audio to me. Just audio to me. Was he blunt about black men? So he would go to a website, something like Black Statistics or something like that, and he would say, like, you know, half of black men are in the middle class and unmarried. All these women who said, well, I just can't find a good man, or I had a kid with a guy, I was with him for 8 years, then we broke up because I needed to self-actualize. And piercing through this delusion, right? Like, there is a time in life where you have to look in the mirror and say, this is where I'm going to be. This is where I am. This is where I'm going to be. And it's not going to change a huge amount from here. Now, where that's going to be, I don't know. Could be different for different people, right? I mean, where I am now in what I do is talking to you guys tonight. I just released the first chapter for donors of my new novel called The Future, which is, I think, the greatest thing I've ever done. I've been working on it for about 40 years, and I think it's a really great book. And if you want to listen to the first chapter in audiobook, I also did video recording of me gesticulating and shrieking my way through a very passionate first chapter of this book about a guy coming back from the dead. And you can get it at freedomain.locals.com. Just sign up for a couple of bucks, and I'll be releasing the book premium to people first. So, yeah, freedomain.locals.com. Sign up, and you can get the book, and it's great. I'm really taking... I've never taken narrative risks like this before in a book, but I really think it pays off. Really think it pays off. What would it be like to come back from the dead? What would you think of first? Would you have the fast forward through your life, or would you see it backwards? How deep would you go? So, yeah, I can read the chat. I just can't see you guys. So Kevin Samuels, a little disappointing. I'll be frank with you. A little disappointing. So it's TMZ. I've seen it a couple of other places, so take it with all the grain of salt in the world. Take it with a grain of salt big enough to make Utah look like a salt lick. Says Kevin Samuels, famous for dishing out controversial dating advice on social media, is dead. Sources have confirmed to TMZ. By the way, one of the things that Kevin Samuels would say was, you're average at best when it came to women, right? Because he could see them, right? So he could see, you're average at best. Or there was a woman who was a bus driver who wanted to, start her own business and run an empire of pet care clinics. And, I think she was in her 30s. She had a kid. And he's like, you're a bus driver. Like, you're a bus driver. You're in your 30s. Stuff that hasn't happened. I know that there's the Grandma Moses stuff that happens later in life. This is the exception that proves the rule. Stuff that hasn't happened by your 30s probably ain't going to happen. Got to be honest with you. If you haven't become a rock star by your 30s, it's kind of unlikely to happen. There are exceptions. There's the guy who ended up singing for AC/DC after their singer died, and he was 34 and living with his parents and doing jingles, and he had started his own automotive repair shop and so on. Yes, he got yeeted in, but he'd already been working as a singer for, 14 years. He just couldn't make a go of it. And particularly for women, if you're in your 30s, then the kind of guys you can get are the kind of guys you can get. That's about it. There's not some big prince riding over the horizon as you age out of your fertility window. So he would say to women, unmarried women 35 and older are leftovers. Well, welcome to the entire culture of Japan, where women 25 and older are called leftovers. I think it's true for men as well. If you're in your late 30s and you're still unmarried, why didn't anyone want you? Why didn't you attract someone or go for someone who you could settle down with? Doesn't mean it can never happen, obviously, but it means, like the guy I was talking to some years ago, he said, I'm in my early 50s and I'm living in my brother's garage, but I don't want to panic. And I'm like, you kind of do. If you're 50 and you're living in your brother's garage, panicking is a really great idea. Like, you really want to panic at that point. And this avoidance of panic is one of the reasons why people stay in this perpetual adolescence. You've got to panic when things aren't working out. You've got to panic. So the influencer and self-proclaimed image consultant, lifestyle coach, and dating expert died Thursday in Georgia. Oh, don't you love that phrase? Self-proclaimed. Self-proclaimed. Because you have to get a PhD in image consultancy in order to be an image consultant. Was he an image consultant? Why, yes, he was. He would charge $1,000 for an image consultancy, sometimes more. Was he a lifestyle coach? Absolutely. Was he a dating expert? Well, sure. Because he had well over 1 million subscribers on YouTube, and 10, 15, 20,000 people would watch his live stream for his dating advice. Was he a dating expert? Well, yeah. If you've got 1.4 million people following you, you've got Lord knows how many millions of views, and you've got tens of thousands of people watching your shows live, you're a dating expert. It's just self-proclaimed. It's funny because someone can identify as anything these days. Like, just spin the wheel of identity. You can identify as anything these days. Pansexual unicorn. Sure, absolutely. But anybody who would write about me would say, a self-proclaimed, quote, philosopher, right? Even though I studied it for decades, I have a graduate degree in the history of philosophy. It's how I've been making my living, these 16 years. Close to 1 billion views and downloads. That's philosopher. I mean, what else are you looking for? But, just self-proclaimed, No, he was an image consultant. He was a lifestyle coach, and he was a dating expert, for sure. So he said, died Thursday in Georgia. According to a police report obtained by TMZ, emergency medical services were called to Kevin's home Thursday morning for a person injured and found Kevin unresponsive on the floor of his apartment. This is the disappointing part for me. And I hope I don't disappoint you guys over time. I'd try not to, but this is the disappointment. The police report states they talked to a woman who said she met Kevin Wednesday night and spent the night with him at his place in Atlanta. The woman, who was a nurse, said Kevin started to complain of chest pains on Thursday morning. And she tried to help him. She told cops he fell on top of her, so she called 911 and requested a defibrillator from the front desk of the apartment complex. So, one night stand. Guy who's complaining that women just aren't high quality in the black community. Now, maybe black women, I don't know, it doesn't say, right? But complaining that there are too many single mothers, too many men, too many women who won't commit to men, and he's doing a one-night stand? Come on, really? Fell on top of her, so maybe they were having sex Thursday morning. She was, he was missionary position or something, or maybe, I guess, back from behind or something. And I mean, I guess he went out with a smile. But if you're complaining that people in the black community aren't settling down, getting married, having stable, long-term monogamous relationships, and then you pick up some nurse and bang her like a drum, we assume, right? I mean, met Wednesday night, spent the night with him. Don't invite men or women into your house when you've just met them. Come on, people. Yeah, so Kevin had a huge following on social media, 1.42 million YouTube subscribers, often stirred debate with his hot takes on dating and relationships. Recently, Kevin stoked controversy by saying unmarried women over 35 are leftovers. Yeah. He's also been known to publicly embarrass both men and women seeking his dating advice. Okay, come on. If you call into a show, and it says that you give up all rights to privacy, you're being broadcast, it says right there on his show, the idea that when people call, and they know what he's like, they know what he's about, they're calling him up for his bluntness, publicly embarrass both men and women seeking his dating advice. So the fact that they're embarrassed, you know, if you are, if you go to your doctor and you say, you know, I think I have long COVID because I'm just tired and my joints hurt and so on, and then you get a test, you got no antibodies, so you never even likely had COVID, and your doctor says to you, well, you know, you've gained 45 pounds over the lockdown because you've been sitting on your couch binge watching your slow decay, and you gained 45 pounds, you haven't exercised in 2 years. So yes, of course you're low on energy, and of course your joints hurt. You know, and I have trouble getting upstairs. Well, of course you have trouble getting upstairs because you've been sitting on a couch for 2 years. Is that embarrassing someone? Just telling them the truth? Is that embarrassing them? You know, if there's one woman who was calling into Kevin Samuel's show, and she was still dreaming of getting together with an ex-boyfriend. She really wanted to know, and I wanted to get together with the ex-boyfriend, love the ex-boyfriend, can't stop thinking about the ex-boyfriend. And then, about halfway through the conversation, it turns out she's married. Currently married. Publicly, openly fantasizing about getting together with an ex-boyfriend. Well, now if he calls her out as a really terrible wife, is that publicly embarrassing her? He's also been known to publicly embarrass both men and women seeking his dating advice. And that's, I don't know, that's just such a feeling argument. People are embarrassed. That's bad. People are embarrassed. That's bad. Bluntness can hurt. Kevin worked with Future earlier this year, asking the rapper dating questions for a trailer for Future's single Worst Day. In the clip, Kevin asked Future how much money he spends on women. Kevin was 57. Rest in peace. Now, the guy apparently was worth a couple of $1,000,000. He had a $300,000 Maserati or a Lamborghini or something like that, and a big collection of very expensive cars. And what did that do for him? What did that do for him? All that stuff. All that stuff. Just dead. Just dead. Oh, yeah, the delusion popping, right? So, you know, the facts are pretty clear. If you're a 35-year-old woman, and this is really tough, and I feel for these women. I really do. I feel because they're so lied to, and so much basic truth is kept away from them. It's really heartbreaking. It's really heartbreaking. Like if you're some 35-year-old woman and you have a 10-year-old son and you want, you know, 666, right? 6 figures, over 6 feet tall, 6-inch plush penis, right? You want some stud, then you have to go through the math. And there are actually websites out there which you should, if you're a man or a woman, you should look at these websites. And you can then figure out what percentage of the population, right? So if you're a black woman and you're 35 and you have a 10-year-old son and you want a black man making $100,000 or more who's over 6 feet tall, who doesn't have any kids of his own, who has no financial dependence, who's not divorced or not going through divorce, not in a relationship, you're looking at what, 1%, 0.1%, 0.5% of the population? That's tough, man. It's tough. What percentage are you looking for? What are the odds of you getting it? And putting yourself, you know, and he would ask women, it's a very, very important question, very important question. He would ask women, how many high-value men are currently trying to wife you, are auditioning you for the role of wife? Right, the role of side thought, the role of girlfriend, the role of side piece. It's easy to get for a woman. It's easy to get. I posted this the other day on social media saying, for a woman to brag about having a man sleep with her is about as challenging as for a man to get a woman to accept gifts. She took $20 in Venmo. That must mean, doesn't mean anything. She'll just take you $20. Oh, a man slept with me. This woman posted to me on social media saying, oh yeah, she said, I read this while I was working out and I just laughed. All I have to do is look at my husband, raise an eyebrow, and he's good to go. Ooh. But a wife, Kevin Samuel said, and it's a really, really good observation that I thought about for quite some time. I think it's original to him. As I said, very smart fellow. He said, women control access to sex, but men control access to relationships. Very powerful thing when you think about it, right? Women control access to sexual activities. Men control access to marriage in particular. And if you ask a woman who thinks she's all that and a slice of bread, what's that old song? More than a woman, more than a woman to me. What is more than a woman? Said some comedian once. A woman and a six-pack? What is more than a woman? But if you ask a woman, okay, how many high-value men are currently auditioning you for the role of wife? Big question. It's very humiliating for a woman who has gotten by on providing sexual access in return for male attention. Very easy. It's very lazy for a woman to offer sexual access. This is the Roe v. Wade thing, right? That if you limit if you reduce the amount of consequence-free sex that's around, and people take the basic advice, the sensible advice, the advice I wish I had been given when I was younger, the basic sensible advice of don't have sex with someone you're not willing to have a baby with. Don't have sex with someone you're not willing to have a baby with. Boy, doesn't that quality control metric just kind of clear everything up in the world, right? Go back and think of all the women you dated in your teens and your 20s and your 30s or whatever, and you say, okay, how many of those women would I have been happy to have a child with? That's the question. And all the women who are saying, wait a minute, you get rid of Roe v. Wade, abortion becomes restricted. Gonna kill Tinder hookup culture. Now, what that is a call for the trashy guys who just want to have sex because they don't have anything of value or resources to offer a woman to found a family, to be a father, to raise children. It's a call for the white knighting of the trashy men to go out and say, well, wait a minute. Cheap, sleazy, easy, bacteria-prone sexuality is going to go bye-bye if we can't get abortions, to which, of course, a lot of people are like, that would be good, right? That would be good. Less destruction. Less destruction in this world. And this is why, you know, if it's true, and we may never know for sure, of course, if it's true that Kevin Samuels was having a one-night stand, particularly with, I say a black nurse, not because the race particularly matters, but because he was very focused on the lack of quality women in the black community. But if he's yo-yoing black women on one-night stands, kind of going against the message there, ex-brother. Kind of going against the whole purpose. You really can't complain that women aren't settling down and then have one-night stands. Six-pack abs. Yeah, that's another six, right? Hey, Steph, Kevin Samuels stole a lot of his talking points from Tommy Sotomayor. Well, I don't know. I don't know that for sure. I don't know that for sure. A lot of people think and come to the same conclusions without necessarily stealing from each other, right? So, yeah, the end of hookup culture is just going to make people happier, even the ones who engage in it. Yeah. Yeah, for sure. Sure. So, yeah, I think it's very sad. If it is true that he was doing some one-night stand thing, then that's also pretty tragic. And, you know, please take care of your health, my friends. Particularly men. Like, heart attacks are the big thing. And say half of fatal heart attacks occur to men under the age of 65. Don't assume that you're fine. Put yourself through the stress test. Work out. Get yourself checked up. It's my suggestion. My suggestion. All right. So, if you have questions or comments, you can type them in. I could also, of course... Somebody says it was a one-night stand and the woman was Mexican. I don't know what that means. I see so. Keep track of your blood pressure, in my opinion. Yeah, just, you know, you're at the drugstore, right? You're at the pharmacy. Just there's usually a free thing there. Just go check it out, right? And you know, climb some stairs, see how you're doing. And if you have any concerns, please go to a doctor and get yourself checked out. Baby. All right, so I'm gonna kick up the audio. I'll put the link in the chat. I'm gonna kick up the audio just in case. And now this echo, this may work, this may not. This, like, I don't know, weird settings just keep changing on my system for no reason that makes any human or unholy sense. So I will I'll do this here. Let me just start this. Dum dum. This may work. This may work. All right. Let me just make sure. Yeah, that's all right. I'll enable noise suppression. Thank you very much. I already have my noise suppression. All right. So let me just share this. Friday, I'm in love. All right. And let me just share this. Manage this, manage that, manage the other. Blah, 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 blah.
All right, blah, 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 blah.
Let me see. How do I? Oh, there we go. Oh, looky la. All right, so I'm just going to put this in the chat here, and you can join. It's all right. Babe is coming back. Why is gambling addiction so hard to break? Okay, so gambling addiction, in my view, gambling addiction occurs when, as a baby, you didn't get all the free stuff you were supposed to get. Right, all the free love, all the free attention, all the free eye contact, all the free boobs, all the free skin-on-skin contact, all of the free stuff you were supposed to get as a baby. And you ended up having to manipulate your parents into giving you what you needed, right? I mean, I did that as a toddler as well. I knew the steps that I could take in order to get some affection from my mother, and I shamelessly pursued those because if you don't have bread and bread is kept from you, then you steal bread or you manipulate people into giving you bread. And so manipulation in order to get free stuff is a foundational drive of a traumatized infancy, and the people who are gambling addicts are trying to get free stuff, which is mother's love, and they can't let go of it because to let go of it would be to confront the aching horror of what they didn't get as a baby. So. Steph, has your daughter ever changed your mind on any big serious topic? Absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, I'll give you an example. She's a much better loser than I am. Well, you know, I didn't get to the top of the heap of modern intellectualism for a while. For quite a while, really. 7 years I was at the top of the heap. Not bad. Now I'm playing jazz clubs. I did stadiums for a while, though, which is fine. It's just a different kind of conversation. But, yeah, so my daughter she plays to enjoy the game. I play to win. you know, it's a bit of a male-female thing, but she has taught me how to really focus on enjoying the game. Now, she didn't consciously do this. She didn't sit there and say, Dad, you're a little too type A Winnie guy. But I just saw how much fun she was having, how enjoyable it was for her to play, and how much people wanted to play with her. How much people wanted to play with her. And she has so many people who just love playing games with her. Me? The game called Philosophy, yes, you and I will chat about it, the kingdom come. But she taught me, and I had conversations with her about that, and she schooled me, and I, you know, knelt before her and looked up at her Buddha-like instruction on how to enjoy games more without being rapidly competitive, and it's been very good for me. I mean, it's just one of probably a dozen things that this one that sort of popped in my head. But yes, she has changed my mind on a significant wide variety of topics. So, Molynusian. I remember I had a professor of English when I was at York University, and he knew that I was writing like crazy, and he liked some of my writing. And he said, you know, because you got a silent X at the end of your name, it's going to be tough for you to have a genre of writing, you know, Shakespearean or whatever. He said, Molynuvian, that's going to be impossible to spell. And he said, maybe your style of writing could be called Stefanesque. I just remember that, like, Stefanesque, that's very nice.
Well, it's ended up being, quite frankly, easy for the keeper. Well, he should be hitting
somebody says, just taking the opportunity to thank you for the new wisdom and perspectives that you are still managing to bring. Well, thank you very much. I appreciate that. Dad Sad said that gambling addiction is mostly a problem with low-status males. I guess they are looking for a cheat code to high status. Well, if you include lotteries, right? Lotteries just a tax on mathematical illiteracy. But the question is, why are they low-status males? So to me, that's cause and effect, because there are lots of low-status males. I mean, look, I started off as a low-status male. I mean, you know, no dad around and crazy, literally institutionalized mom and violence and trashy neighborhoods and just trashy people and all of that. But I didn't, I mean, I like gambling a lot. In fact, I very rarely gamble. I'll gamble maybe once every 5 or 10 years because I really like it. I find it quite exciting because it distracts you from yourself. It's very absorbing and it's very exciting, and there's a real joy when you win because, you know, we all love free stuff. Free stuff is the foundation of civilization, right? I mean, what is agriculture but free hunting? Right. What is a remote control but free channel changing without having to get up, right? What is this? This is a conversation where I don't have to drive to all of your houses and get a snack and chat with you in the living room, so it's free. So the lure of free stuff is the foundation of civilization and technological progress and all this kinds of great stuff. So the question is, why are they low-status men? And I would argue that they're low-status men because they have trashy moms who didn't invest in them and didn't care about them and didn't love them, and that lack of love is what is driving gambling addiction. So just saying, like, he's basically saying gambling addiction is, you know, wanting stuff for free. Okay. But that's just another way of saying gambling addiction. It's tautology, right? Gambling is, of course, wanting stuff for free. But if you know, and I first thought of this many years ago when I read the Diaries of Dostoevsky's wife, because he was an unbelievable gambling addict, just a terrible gambling addict, just destroyed their entire finances, and she was unbelievably stressed when they were, I can't remember which country outside of Russia, and it was horrendous. And his childhood was, I mean, Dostoevsky's childhood was unbelievably brutal. Dostoevsky's father was a landowner, a serf owner, and he treated his serfs so brutally, and he was such a drunk, Dostoevsky's father, that the serfs ganged up, lashed him to a chair, took their 2 fingers hooked into his nostrils, pulled his head back, and poured liquor down Dostoevsky's father's throat until he died of alcohol poisoning. That's how much they hated him.
Sébastien Allaire.
There is nothing but good in you, so people must see that. If they don't, it's a reflection of their own inner turmoil. I think there is other things than good in me. If there was only good in me, I wouldn't have the virtue called virtue. I wouldn't be good if there was only good in me, because I would have no temptation and no darkness, which I do, and I face it down and try and integrate it and work with it the way that everyone else does.
And the whistle is sounded.
Never gamble your Bitcoin. One of my worst mistakes. Luckily, I recovered. Good. Steph, what is a man? As someone from a single mom household, I realize that I have some things to unlearn. Never known one personally. So a man is somebody who's willing to take on significant challenges in order to provide and protect for his family and children. Want to provide for your children, want to protect your family. And you're willing to incur the displeasure of others in order to provide for your children and protect your family. Steph, dark question, but why do some people self-harm, like cutting? They self-harm, in my opinion. People, and I've had lots of conversations, dozens and dozens of conversations with people over the years. One I can't even remember if I released. It was so dark, about a woman who literally carved with a knife, carved her mother's insults to her in her legs. Stupid, lazy bitch, and all that stuff. I just carved them into her legs. So people...
Well, still behind here, but only due to some incredible.
It is vastly underestimated in this world how many children are surrounded by people who would kill them, who express the desire to kill them. Now, that doesn't mean necessarily throttle them, but abandon them, right? Abandonment for children is...
certainly in the mood for his second.
Well, he's certainly looking a threat. He looks so sharp today.
Death sentence, murder, right? Straight up. So, there are a lot of people, a lot of children grow up surrounded by people who express a desire to kill them. This is an old Bill Cosby joke, tells you something about Bill Cosby and why he ended up the way he did. Bill Cosby would say, this is a common statement among fathers, I brought you into this world, I can take you out.
Well, here's the replay, and it all starts off with
it's a death threat, you understand, right? Taking someone out of life, taking someone out of the world is to kill them. Good connection with the ball. When children are beaten with implements, when children are beaten and the parent is out of control, which is almost always the case when children are beaten, children don't know when it's going to end and experience that as death panic, as annihilation panic. Parents who express hatred towards their children, my mother would say this on occasion, scream it in the middle of the night, I hate these effing kids. Well, that's a death threat for kids. Because if your primary caregiver and the only source of your food and succor and shelter hates you, your life hangs by a thread. There was a tragic picture during this Roe v. Wade thing of a woman holding up a sign saying, I wish my mother had aborted me.
Wondering about this, it is now official. Ciro Immobile has completed his move to Manchester City.
The murder impulse towards fetuses, babies, toddlers, people say, well, see, you can't abort the child after the child. Oh, you can even abort the child after the child has become viable. You can even abort the fetus after the fetus has become viable at 40 weeks or whatever, right? Oh, and that's moving back. The viability, the chance for a baby to be viable now is weeks earlier than it was back in 1973 with Roe v. Wade. People say, well, you can abort babies even after that. You can abort fetuses even after they're viable outside the womb. Well, you know that a baby is not viable outside. It's outside the womb, but it's not viable. You leave the baby alone, the baby's going to die in, what, 12 hours? Dead. It's not being fed by the umbilical anymore. It's not using its urine to create that amniotic sac, otherwise known as undergraduate.
They've passed it well, their movement's been good, and they've been well worth their lead.
I mean, the child sacrifice society that we live in is truly demonic, whether, I mean, I know it's not common, but there are definitely people out there, you know, cheering on the fetus slaughtered at the combine harvester of selfishness that mows down tens of millions of babies. Death threats, all the time, towards kids. Very common. Very common, particularly in the trashy neighborhoods that I grew up. I could just kill you, say a lot of parents. Get out of the house, say parents. Again, for a kid, that's a death threat, ordering a child out of the house. If you go out, you just don't come home. Right? Death threat, right there. So when you're surrounded by people who want you harmed, who want you dead, you internalize that. So people who self-harm are simply acting out the murderous impulses of those around them in order to manage or control their own responses to it. My beliefs about abortion, I mean, I've talked about this before. You can just go to fdrpodcast.com and do a search for abortion. I think abortion is a terrible tragedy, and we should do everything as a society possible to minimize its prevalence, and we should recognize that there is something foundationally corrupting about the easy approach to abortion. Well, what do they say? It's safe, legal, and rare. It's not rare. And like 92% of women are not doing it because of some desperate economic situation. They're not doing it because of rape. They're not doing it because of incest. They're not doing it because of anything that's dangerous. The baby's dangerous. 92% plus of women, and this is statistics run by the people who support, then 92%. Just, there's no reason, no particular reason. No particular reason. No particular reason. Yeah, well, the birth control could fail. Okay, well, if the birth control fails, and therefore you have no responsibility for the baby, then why are men who say the birth control failed forced to pay for babies? The woman can opt out unilaterally. Why can the man not opt out unilaterally? Well, we all know the reason. White knighting, deference to women, all tragically
Just
wrong.
10 minutes remaining here.
And yeah, I mean, in a free society, people would not, they'd be raised well and honorably and peacefully, and they'd be reasoned with. They'd have a high self-esteem, and not vanity, but genuine high self-esteem. And so they wouldn't need to bring the me plus sex to the equation, right? There's a lot of women, it's like me plus hole, that's the equation. Me plus tits and ass and vagina and whatever, right? Me plus sex. Maybe you don't want me, but you want me plus sex? Maybe I'm a shit sandwich to you, but what if I put a lot of icing on you? We won't even be able to taste the other stuff.
Now a decent position.
It's desperate and tragic that so many women feel that they're not worth anything if they're not providing sex. It's horrible. And it comes out of really terrible parenting. It comes out of really terrible quote, education. Just awful.
Deftly cut out.
Post-birth abortion is legal in Belgium and Netherlands in some cases.
So 2 minutes of stoppage time to be added on. Well, they've given him too much space.
Yeah, it's really terrible. All right, I'm going to just jump into Steph, can someone fall in love with hating someone or something?
Could reduce the deficit.
Well,
and so the final whistle here.
I mean, we all hate something or someone. Hatred is simply a recognition that something out there is threatening your interests, right? Your perceived interests. I mean, maybe they're viable interests, maybe they're not. Threatening the easy accessibility of abortion is going to force women, in a sense, or it's going to provide greater incentives for women to bring qualities of character to relationships rather than merely providing access to sex. That's tough. You know, if you've gotten this massive, if you're a business and you've had a massive subsidy for 15 years, your whole business is aligned along those subsidies. And if that subsidy gets taken away, you're going to panic and freak out, get really angry, panic, like some government agency has privatized the workers there who are lazy and entitled and bad at what they do. And right, they're just boom. So when you take away a subsidy, people panic. And when you take away a subsidy called consequence-free sexuality, then a man has to look at a woman and say, okay, well, if she gets pregnant and there's not an easy abortion to be had, do I like this person, right? Would I be willing to have a child with this person? Well, when you put that equation in your testicles called, we only want to swing and hang close to something where a baby could come out and we'll be happy about it, that's a whole different standard, right? And all the women who've poured all of their resources into looking good and having a flat belly and lots of makeup and working out and so on, well, everything that they've done in that direction is something they haven't done in the direction of being a quality person, being someone you can trust, being someone you can love, being someone who'll bring you chicken soup when you're sick, being somebody who'd be a great mother for your children. They've gone in the opposite direction. And if the standards change underfoot to the point where being hot is less valuable than being good, then all the people who've dedicated themselves to hotness are going to lose that subsidy. They've gone in the wrong direction. They're going to panic. They're going to freak out. And Elizabeth Warren apparently is on the warpath about this. She is their goddess of some kind. Would you ever consider playing the new Doom game when it comes out? I dipped a little bit into Elden Ring, but I don't know what the story is. It seems to me like it just tries to turn you into a psychopath by just having you wander around and kill things. I don't know what the story is. I mean, I remember with Skyrim, like you started and there was a story and you had something you had to do right away and then you got your quests and I don't know. I mean, it's beautiful. The art is beautiful and the environment is beautiful. Combat system's interesting. It's okay. But I don't know what the point of the game is. I don't know what you're supposed to be doing at all. Let's see here. What are your thoughts about the Plan B pill? I don't know what the Plan B pill is. So if you could let me know, I'd appreciate it. All right, let me just dip over here to the alternate platform. Platformy. And did I give you guys this link? I'll do it again in case you want to join and talk. I'm happy to hear what you have to say. And by the way, justpournovel.com, almostnovel.com, fdrurl.com/TGOA for the God of Atheists. Free books. And my new novel, which is really, it's wild. I've never, ever done anything like this before, and I'm incredibly pleased with how it came out. But you can get that at freedomain.locals.com. You can subscribe, but again, it's very cheap. To do so, it's a couple of bucks a month if you want, and you can get the novel, which is wild and may, in fact, be a classic at some point. All right. Oh, yeah, housing bubble. Pretty wild. You can look at this graph. It's 70 years, January 31st, 1952 to January 31st, 2022. This current housing bubble is way higher. Home price to median income ratio. And again, that's just through to January without the median income ratio going down now. But the line is way higher than the housing bubble of 07-08. Pretty wild. Yeah, half of fatal heart attacks and strokes are under 65. Yeah, women on TikTok say hookup culture will become absolutely decimated if Roe v. Wade is overturned. OMG, I'm entering my celibacy era? A user commented below, to which the video creator replied that she had the same thought the second the news came out. We all need to collectively agree to never touch another man again if it gets overturned, another TikToker commented. Another user declared that they were deleting all dating apps as we speak. Well, it's really tragic. I mean, it's really that women have now grown up. Well, I'm using the term rather loosely. Women have grown up with the belief that the best argument they can make is to not hand out blowjobs like Halloween candy. I mean, isn't that tragic? I'm upset, and I want the world to change, so I'm going to withhold. I'm going to withhold cheap and easy sex. Sorry, you'll have to get your bacteria someplace else. This herpes ain't going to use me as a ground zero. Ain't going to use me as a typhoid Mary. I mean, how tragic. What a horrible confession it is. And it is, of course, not hard to see that the women who most threaten to withhold sex are those least in danger of being in demand.
Hello, Steph, can you hear me?
People who let losers come in, they're pretty mad about Roe. Yeah, it's
right, yeah.
But you know, it'll be good for them in the long run because they have been so appallingly lied to that they just don't have anything of value to offer. And this is sort of the end result of these liberated women, is used up by the alphas, right? You know, 90% of women are chasing 10% of the men. It's fun for those 10% of the men for a while, although it breaks their heart as well. And this is the churning testicular conveyor belt that's just producing bitter and angry women addicted to antidepressants when they get into their 40s and 50s. And the spike of middle-aged women using antidepressants, particularly white women, is unbelievable. Unbelievable. And this is the modern liberated woman, right? Used as a bicycle by a bunch of alphas she thinks will commit to her when they're really only there for sex. Alphas, by having sex with her, raised her standards to the point where an average regular guy can't compete. Creating resentment among the men, creating resentment and ridiculously high standards among the women. Kevin Samuels was talking to some woman, I think she was Italian, and she was a hair cutter. And she's like, yeah, no, I'd like to get a guy who's an entrepreneur together. We'll start an empire. It's like, I'm sorry, you're a hair cutter. Nothing wrong with being a hair cutter. People need their hair cut. There's nothing wrong with it. It's a fine, fine profession. No shame in it. But the idea that you're about to Steve Jobs up the place when you're in your late 20s and you're a hair cutter, just be content with where you are. There's nothing wrong with being a hair cutter or a bus driver. It's not these things that are bad. It's that everyone feels like they're just temporarily embarrassed from their natural path to be a rock star or a movie star or a business mogul or I don't know what. It's like, yeah, you know, I'm just hanging out here, but, you know, boy, any minute now I'm going to get yeeted up into the stratosphere of the top 1/10 of 1%. I'm going to run half the planet. No, you're not. I'm not. It's not going to happen. You know, it's true that I'm 55, but I really think I'm going to get into ballet anytime now. Oh, my God. It's just appalling. It's just appalling. Everyone gets a trophy. Everyone's a winner. Everyone's special. No. Most people, by definition, are average. And there's nothing wrong with average. It's just if you think that you're temporarily embarrassed from your stratospheric success as a hamana, all that's going to happen is you won't be able to settle down. You won't be able to find someone appropriate to your station. You won't be able to be happy. You won't be able to be content. And you won't be able to, you know, people want to be, you know, millionaires and rock stars and business moguls and whatever, right? The problem is that keeps them. The vast majority of people aren't creative. Not an insult. They do that and not creative. And if you are creative, and I mean really creative, like you've really dedicated yourself to creating things of beauty and power in this world. If you are creative, you know just how many people aren't creative. When I first started writing novels, well, I mean, the first novel I wrote, I was 11, but when I first started seriously writing novels.
I'm creative, creating the stream right now.
My first novel was called Revolutions, and it was set in a generation before the Russian Revolution because I wanted to really trace the ideas and thoughts that went into the Russian Revolution, which always show up about a generation before. Like the generation that's now woke, the real ideas showed up about a generation ago, and they just have to worm their way through the educational system and program people properly. And I remember working on that book. I worked really hard on that book. I work really hard on all my books. Woo! It's tough because even your favorite stuff you have to ditch if it doesn't serve the story. It's a genocide of quality to produce something of integrity.
It is opening night, a huge night for both sets
you know,
of fans.
I worked all summer on a book, and I went to university in the fall, and people said, what did you do with your summer? I said, well, you know, I had a job, and I was working on this book. I said, oh, how's it coming? I said, well, I finished the second draft, but I still have a lot of work to do. I said, oh, how long is it? Oh, I don't know, 500 pages, something like that. They're like, oh my God. You know, I've always wanted to write a book.
What we have for you tonight is live Champions League group stage.
I don't understand. I fundamentally don't know. Always wanted to do something. Fucking do it.
Well, the first game of the group is so vital. You just can't get off to a losing start.
Always wanted to get up and sing karaoke. You know, there's about 10 million of them every night. Just pick up a microphone and go sing karaoke. I've always wanted to write a book. But wanting to write a book isn't going to do it. If you wake up and you have to write the book and you feel you'll be robbing the world if you don't, and you'll regret it for the rest of your life. If you don't write the book, maybe you got a 50-50 chance. But just wanting to do something, you know, for me, I give myself like maybe a year, usually about 6 months. If I have a desire to do something or an urge to do something, I invite you to think about life this way. It's going to save you a hell of a lot of time. Have you really focus on stuff that's sustainable. Give myself about 6 months, right?
Well, I have to say,
so every now and then I thought, oh, it'd be nice to learn piano. Like I did 10 years of violin, pretty musical, but it'd be nice to learn piano, right? Okay, so I give myself a couple of months. Am I sitting down learning piano? Now, when my daughter was learning piano, I sat down with her and I did a bunch of piano and so on, and it was fine. It was fine. It was nice because I could read music because of my time in orchestras and playing violin and so on. And I thought, yeah, this is nice. This is nice. But it wasn't compelling enough for me to keep doing it because for me, everything competes with philosophy. Everything competes with philosophy. If I could take dictation while I was taking a dump, I would. But, so I sort of gave myself a couple of months. Do I want to do this? You know, doing it with my daughter, it's kind of fun, it's kind of enjoyable. But cost benefit, life's short. And everything now is double or triple what it used to be because my life is 2/3 done, probably. Maybe more. And my time left is just much more valuable than the time in the past. So something that I would consider putting 10 hours into when I was 20 is now 30 hours.
It's anybody's guess who will go
because I have to adjust, right?
It's absolutely vital.
You know, like if you make some money, you have to adjust down. And something that was $50 you have to think of. Like if you have 10 times the money that you used to have, you know, you're a broke-ass student and then you end up with your first job. Okay, well, you have to adjust things a little bit, right? So that which used to be $50 you now have to think of as $5. Right? I used to live on, I don't know, $5,000 a year when I was a student, and then I got my first job at $40,000 as a computer programmer, my first real job. So I just had to adjust, right? I had to adjust myself and say, okay, well, I'm making more money now, so I can't be so paranoid about every dollar that goes out. Right? So a $20 meal is $5. Have to just readjust things, right? It's the same thing with time. So I just looked at that and I said, okay, well, I've kind of had this idea that I'm going to learn piano over the course of my life here and there. I took piano when I was little, but I went to violin for various reasons. And as I like to sing, knowing to play piano would be kind of cool, but what am I going to do? I'm going to cut an album for God's sake? No, I'd rather do philosophy. And there's way better singers and piano players out there, but I think not so many greater philosophers.
Not hard to read that pass.
So you just sit there and you say, oh, well, I haven't done it.
Couldn't keep it.
At some point in your life, you have to say, I'm cutting that off. That's just shit I'm dragging around. I've got a barrel called I'm gonna one day. Nope. Cut it off. Let it loose. Let it go. Right, just let it go. Saw it off, baby. Amputate it.
Wasted possession
again. I always wanted to write books. When I was 11, I started writing books. There you go. The people who make it in the music industry. What's it Dave Grohl saying? You know, all these auto-tune magicians now. It's like what you do is you just get your friends together when you're 12 and you just start playing in a garage and you keep playing for 10 years until you get okay at it. Oh, pretty good.
He was clearly in an offside position.
Give yourself a cut-off time and saw off any delusions you have about things that you just haven't done. Because if you just haven't done them, you're not going to do them. And having all of these things floating around you, like the moons of Jupiter, that you're just going to do one day, or maybe get round to one day, or I'm going to read all of this one day, I'm going to learn that language one day, I'm going to learn piano one day I'm going to learn, right? Nope. It's like duck hunting. Take him out. Take him out back, bury him, and focus on something that you really feel like you have to do rather than something that maybe one day you'll do. Because everything that you got clouding around you that you may do one day is obscuring the view of the one thing that you might be able to do that would really make a big difference and that you won't ever have to convince yourself to do.
Okay, so you criticized him for having a one-night stand, and I was just wondering, I mean, just, like, as two consenting adults, I mean, is having a one-night stand,
possession is the watchword inside their own territory.
No. How would it be a violation of UPB? Is it the initiation of force?
Well, that's what I'm asking. I'm asking if it is a violation because I was just wondering, like, why criticize him for it? And it's just a question, I'm not attacking.
Oh no, I don't think you're attacking, but there's quite a lot to unpack in what you're saying. So, first of all, I didn't criticize him for having a one-night stand. That's only half the equation. Just, you know, to be accurate and honest, I suppose. So what? Just so we're on the same page, what did I criticize him for?
Sorry, Steph, I'm actually a huge fan of yours. I'm just going to keep it at 100 with you guys.
You're just going to what?
Keep it 100 with you.
Listen, I'm not attacking you either. I just want to make sure that we're on the same page, right? Because I didn't criticize him for having a one-night stand.
Reading it absolutely
it just kind of seemed to me that you were kind of alluding to the possibility that he was a hypocrite by having a one-night stand.
Oh, no, I didn't allude to the possibility. I called him a hypocrite for saying that women weren't settling down with good men and then going around having one-night stands. Because I assume he was single. I think he was married at some point in the past. He's kept his private life pretty private for, obvious reasons. But it's not that he had a one-night stand. I don't think there was. But if some pickup artist who says one-night stands are the way to go, and then he goes and has a one-night stand, okay, well, I don't agree with his decision, but he's not being hypocritical because he's following his stated goals. Now, his stated goals was to improve the quality of monogamous relationships, particularly in the black community. That was the stated goal of Kevin Samuels repeatedly, right? To improve the quality of monogamous relationships and to have people make wiser dating decisions, to settle down, to be stable providers and good wives and so on. And then I assume that this was not his only one-night stand. If he has a regular habit of having one-night stands while claiming, in particular within the black community, to promote and to argue for and, in a sense, to embarrass people for not following the goal of stable monogamous relationships, that's bad, right? That's hypocritical. I mean, do you agree with at least that? Whether you agree with the one-night stand criticism or not, do you agree that he was not following, in fact, he was doing the opposite of his stated values and goals?
There's been so much talk about the potential transfer.
I mean, imagine a woman had called in and she was a counselor who was working her whole life to try and make sure that men and women had stable long-term relationships. And then she said, oh yeah, by the way, I have huge amounts of one-night stands. What would Kevin Samuels say to such a woman?
Over it comes.
He would have a field day.
Well, it looks so threatening, but the danger averted.
Why is being hypocritical bad, somebody asks? Because you're lying and you're discrediting virtues and values, right? So, now, what's interesting, and I don't know this about Kevin Samuels, and we probably never will know unless a lot of people say it, but here's the thing. So, is sleeping with a woman a UPB violation? No, it's not. Because the 4 moral crimes banned by UPB are rape, theft, assault, and murder. Doesn't fall under the category of rape because it's consensual. Obviously not murder, it's not theft, it's not assault. But here's the problem. And this is where a grey area exists, right? So Kevin Samuels, being a wealthy fella, having a collection of expensive cars and a $300,000 Lamborghini or something like that. That is a massive honey trap for women, right? So some women, a lot of women are struggling with their bills and there's people screaming at the top of their lungs, what are women supposed to do with their children if they have to go to work? It's like, well, I don't really know how to answer that because women know that you have to go to work and someone has to take care of your kids. They know that, right? So, if Kevin Samuels, or someone like Kevin Samuels, and I don't know this, it's just a theory, right? But if what he did was invited women to his place and kind of let his expensive stuff do the talking. So many women really struggle with money. They really struggle with bills. They're heavily in debt. They've got student loans. I remember, as I said before on the show, going on to some date with some woman who said, oh yeah, my ex-boyfriend stiffed me for $17,000 in credit card debt. To which I was like, well, I'll pay for coffee, but that's it for us. If those are your judgments, I'm not part of this decision matrix at all, right? Sorry. You're clearly not very good at judging characters, so you won't be able to see the quality in me. So a lot of women unbelievably stressed about money, unbelievably stressed about paying their bills and being in debt and juggling credit card debt and student debt, and oh, it's brutal. It's brutal. Women are significantly more in debt than men. Because men are just terrified of debt, right? Because the reason why men are terrified of debt is because we can't sleep with anyone to pay our debt off, right? Whereas a lot of women, you know, this is kind of standard thing that happens where some woman marries a guy, she's heavily in debt, and then divorces him like 3 days after he finally finishes paying off all her debts, right? It's a very predictable thing that women can see and men can't, right? And so a lot of women just really struggle with money. It's brutal. And you talk to young women about, you know, how they pay their bills. And it's really tough. It's really, there's a lot of fog out there. A lot of, well, something's going to happen, something's going to show up, something's going to turn up. And what they mean by that is they believe, and they've a lot of propaganda that has them going down this path, but they believe that just some white knight is going to come in and take all their financial stress away. Oh, it's just going to get, it's going to be fun. Some magic is going to happen. Some government program, some debt relief, some student debt forgiveness, some guy's going to come along, something. They're going to get incomprehensible careers as life coaches and motivational speakers, and right, so they just really stressed about money. A lot of women are really stressed about money, young women in particular, and they've a lot of times gotten into debt for things that just aren't going to make them money. They got in, like there was an old Sex and the City episode where I think Miranda was saying to the Shaggy Herd character, I don't remember, Sarah Jessica Parker's character, what do you mean you can't afford a condo? You got $40,000 worth of shoes here. You got 100 pairs of $400 shoes. You got $40,000 worth of shoes here. You could have used that as a down payment for an apartment back in the 90s, I guess, when that could be, right? Or women are waiting for an inheritance, or they run to their parents, or again, they run to boyfriends. And I never paid a woman's debt. Never paid a woman's debt. I mean, when you're married, your finances should become one. Never paid a woman's debt. I don't. I mean, that's horrible, because that's saying that there's a money aspect to the romantic relationship. Somebody says, I'm a guy in 15K in debt. Need to sort my shit out as soon as possible. Get out of that shit, man, because interest rates and inflation, man. I mean, they just raised the rates, right? With it 6% now for long-term mortgage. Yeah, it's crazy. So a lot of women are stressed. Now, if Kevin Samuels was the kind of guy who's like, oh yes, just step over my Lamborghini and come into my beautiful house and look at all the money and I'm dressed to the nines and I'm very wealthy. And if he gave women the impression that somehow they could get access to his money because he might be open to some kind of relationship. Now, I'm not saying he did. Not at all saying he did. And let's take, you know, the recently deceased Kevin Samuels out of the equation, because it's not fair and I don't know, right? So let's just say Bob, right? So Bob has a lot of money. And Bob just dangles this money, right? He's in the champagne room. He's in the VIP suite. He's pulling up in a massively expensive car, and he's taking this woman. So he's just like, and women salivate over this, like, oh my God, this could be the answer to all my problems. I can be with this guy, and just the money is going to just flow, and there's so much money. You know, my debt is nothing compared to how much money this guy has, right? My debt is one tire on his car. And women get excited at the prospect of being relieved of their financial burdens. Kevin was over 200 deep for sure. Are you talking about number of women he slept with? So if you use your money as a way to attract women, then of course the women are responsible, and it's not a UPB violation, and they're still making their choices. But there are some kinds of pretty hard to resist temptations that you really shouldn't dangle in front of people, in my opinion. Is it a kind of fraud if Bob, the theoretical Bob, right? Is it a kind of fraud if the woman's heavily in debt, and if she's a nurse, right? She's a nurse, she may be in debt, right? Nursing can be expensive, a lot of student loans. But if our theoretical Bob is dangling a lot of money in front of women who are in debt and need money and so on. It's part of his seduction strategy. Because women as a whole see a man with excess resources and automatically put themselves in that situation. Just automatically put themselves in that situation. Are so many young women into socialism because of student debt? Well, I mean, partly because of student debt, partly because of propaganda, but women are into socialism because socialism crosses wires with the family, right? What is socialism, right? Communism, right? From each according to their ability to each according to their needs. Well, what's that? That's parents and babies, parents and toddlers, parents and children. Right? From each according to their ability, that's parents making money, having resources, to each according to their need. Well, you don't charge your children rent, you don't charge them for meals, any of this stuff, right? So the reason why Marxism in particular, which comes from a gynocentric culture to some degree, right? So the reason why it's women are so susceptible to socialism is it crosses wires with their sense of how economics work within the family, and they absolutely should work that way in the family.
Yeah, it's so vital to get off to a quick start in these group stages. They'll be happy
So,
with the 3
let's
points,
see here,
but
just
now
a
they have
couple
to
of
back
quick
it up in
questions.
the
Is
next
prostitution
game. 6 points
unethical?
and you're halfway there.
Well, it's not a violation of the non-aggression principle, but it is incredibly destructive to both parties involved emotionally, right? Steph, I think you are giving the gold diggers too much credit. It's not really a thought. It's just a random opinion, so you may be confusing random opinions with thoughts. A thought is an argument with reason and evidence. All right. I'm sorry. Let me just double check in with the caller here. Does that help in terms of questions? If I missed stuff, please let me know.
No, you answered my question very well. Thank you very much, Steph.
You're welcome. Thanks for calling in. I appreciate it. Does socialism tie back to people feeling entitled when they haven't received what they were owed as babies? Yeah, for sure. For sure. Everybody has this fantasy that whatever you were missing as a baby can be provided by someone as an adult, and you'll feel better, and you'll feel fine, and you'll feel good. And it's all solved, and it's all better. It's all a lie. It's all a lie. If you lacked food as a baby, eating more as an adult, stealing food as an adult, going to buffets as an adult, will not solve the problem. Right? Let's say that you were malnourished as a child and you grew up a foot shorter. Eating more as an adult is just going to make you wider, not taller. You can't. Right? Thinking that there's some cure other than grief for what you didn't get as a child is one of the foundational lies that is destroying the world. Seriously, foundational lies that are destroying the world. The only solution to what you didn't get as a child, to the trauma or neglect that was inflicted on you as a child, the only solution is grief. Grieving for what was missing, grieving for what was gone, grieving for what was taken, grieving for what was inflicted on you. That's the only solution. There's no shortcut. There's no bypass. There's no political party. There's no cult. There's no drug. There's no lust or desire or money that will ever solve that. The only thing that will solve the losses of the past is honest, look in the fucking mirror, cry, yell, grieve. Acknowledge what was taken from you. Acknowledge what was inflicted on you. And you can get past it. But if you think there's some other solution, if I make enough money, if I sleep with enough women, if I sleep with enough men, if I take enough drugs, if I learn how to dance well enough, if I get a six-pack, if I work out, if I get ripped, if I get famous, if I nurture my talent, all of these things will magically solve the scars and brutalities of my early years. Won't happen, and it seems about 80% of our economy relies on, well, we'll sell you shit and then you won't have to grieve. You know, if you get really perfect eyebrows, you won't have to grieve. You know, if you get a hair transplant, you won't have to grieve. You know, if you work out, you won't have to grieve. You know, if you wear this much makeup, you won't have to grieve. You know, if you dye your hair, you won't have to grieve. You know, if you dress this way, if you own this car, if you own this house, if you own something, you won't have to grieve. TFL, total fucking lie. Everything you run from overtakes and overwhelms you. Turn and face that shit. You didn't get it. It's really tragic. It's really horrible. I feel for you. I'm so sorry you didn't get it. Nothing's going to fix it now. Nothing is going to make up for what you didn't get as a child. Nothing, ever, ever. And there's so many people who will just lie to you. Lie to your ass. And tell you, well, buy my shit. Pay me. Buy this thing. Give me money for that. And you'll never have to turn around and face what happened, ever. And it's a repeat model of financing because you'll just feel worse. Over time, you keep running back to materialism. You know what malls are? Malls are just cathedrals of delusion on the graves of child abuse. All there. Ooh, there's this new fashion. Buy this. And you'll feel, I'm feeling cute. I just might go shopping. I don't know. Buy these shoes, baby. And you'll be snapping and walking. Get that cute guy interested in you, and you'll never have to deal with the fact that your daddy left when you were 5. Amazon is, well, my parents didn't deliver, so maybe you can. Video games. You don't have the dopamine called genuine achievement based on love of self and respect of your virtuous application of talents. And they call they little badges now. This didn't exist when I was a kid. You go to high score, you could put your 3 initials in, right? F-U-K. Now you get these badges. Bing.
Hi everyone, it is an absolutely splendid day for football.
And all your friends are
to the game.
So-and-so did such and such.
Commentator Derek Ray, ready to provide expert analysis. Alongside me is Stuart Robson. And we've got what we hope will be exciting league action coming up for you.
Clothes get sluttier and sluttier every year. Yeah, because childhoods are getting worse and worse every year. Childhood is about the worst it's been in many ways ever. Because childhood is torture with no hope of redemption. At least in the past, with religiosity, with Christianity, there was original sin, but there was a path to redemption. There was a way out. There was a future. And you were loved. Now, you're just a cancer on the planet and an entitled racist and a patriarch, and there's no redemption. There's no way out.
Short corner taken.
Do we ought to follow truth? This isn't aggression. It's not under UPB. UPB assumes that we ought to follow truth, though.
And the flag raised. Offside.
Should we follow truth?
Well, the fact of the matter is the home side lead the league in goals.
Assuming, John,
the best attack in the
that I'm going to give you an honest answer.
Well, in attack, they've been so fluid at home. They just know exactly
the honesty of my answer has value. So you've answered your own question in the form of asking. It's all you need to do. 90% of philosophy is just looking at the form of what you're doing and universalizing it.
Julian Weigl. Gonzalo Gedge.
What is a good general overview book on various major philosophers and periods? Will Durant has pretty good history of philosophy. How do men donate their bank accounts in hopes they'll give you false hope of attention? You mean to women, like to girls on the OnlyFans and streamers and so on? Why are there webcam girls? Well, if a man offers a woman a gift and she takes that gift, that usually is a sign that she's interested. That's the way it used to work in history, right? So if you gave money to a married woman, she would say, what are you doing? I'm a married woman. I'm not taking money from you. What are you, crazy? Right? But if a single woman takes money from you, it indicates that she's interested in you, so they're paying for the illusion of a relationship. Because what is a relationship? Why does it exist? Why is there pair bonding? Why is there sexuality? Why are there males and females? So that men can transfer resources to women, and women can use those resources to create the next generation. Men make money, men give money to women, and women spend the money on children to keep them alive. Trickle-down economy, baby. Tsunami-down economy, whatever you want to call it. Men make, they give, women keep alive. That's the deal. So the transfer of wealth from men to women is foundational to the entire survival of our species. Because women disabled with childbirth and toddlers running around and going near cliffs, and there are wolves around and rats you got to protect. You got to make sure the food is clean. You got to make sure the water is clean. You got to make sure the clothes are clean. Get the scabies out. Get the ticks and tsetse flies out.
A good and fair challenge.
Women's work is keeping the species alive when we're the death magnets known as toddlers. Men's is to go out there and make about 10 times what you would need to survive in order to keep your family alive. That's the deal. So the transfer of wealth from men to women is foundational to sexual selection. And so when a woman accepts a man's gift, his lizard brain thinks he's in.
So the corner played into the box.
It's exploiting, it's hacking the lizard brain.
To let that go. And following the infringement, a caution.
Yeah, no surprise there.
Stefan, could you please provide some clarity as to the distinction between empiricism, rationalism, and skepticism? So empiricism is that all knowledge is derived from the evidence of the senses. Rationalism, and that's Aristotelianism, rationalism is the idea that we have knowledge that is completely independent of the senses, which would be the Platonic world of forms and ideals and so on. And skepticism is the argument that we can't prove anything. Now, for empiricism, you can see my truth about Aristotle. For rationalism, you can see my truth about Plato. For skepticism, you can read UPB, wherein I deal with the radical skepticism first encapsulated in the writings of, well, best encapsulated in the writings of Hume, the Scottish philosopher. So, hope that helps. Do you think that women can detect men who sleep around? Yes. And there are signs.
Successful intervention, winning the ball back.
There are signs. So men who sleep around approach women without fear, because usually they're very high status in terms of looks or money, and they're hyper confident, and that means that they're very well practiced.
And they will be awarded a free
And
kick
men who are
for
very
that.
well practiced at approaching women approach a lot of women and have figured out what works for them and what works to succeed. And so, yeah, a man who comes up and who's totally easy and confident and calm and so on is definitely a player for sure.
And breaking at pace.
The
with
moral
minutes.
law that we ought to follow truth isn't in UPB.
Oh, that's an interesting pass.
Moral law
Fantastic
that we ought to
defending.
follow
Let's see
truth.
if it helps
So
the
lying is
opposition.
not a violation of UPB, unless it falls under the category of fraud, as theft material transfer based upon a truth that turns out to be false. It's known to be false ahead of time, right? The whole Elizabeth Holmes thing, right?
Moving it forward.
So if you believe that UPB has a problem, has a contradiction, is incomplete, then you're saying that people should improve things which have lesser quality. They should finish what is incomplete, which is an ought, right? So again, you're back to UPB again. It's crazy how many orbiters are on Twitch e-girl chats. Don't they realize how pathetic they are? But I assume that it simply makes masturbation more pleasurable, and that's a really sad substitute for a family. What are your views on Hegel? A huge monster. Before the age of the internet, all famous philosophers served power.
Well, high marks for that pass.
It's the only reason they were allowed to be kept and taught.
Couldn't keep it. The referee's letting it go as they keep the ball.
What are your views on Heidegger? A monstrously complicated and convoluted guy who was in the Nazi Party, and I think that's kind of all you need to know about Heidegger.
Julian Weigel.
I just kicked my mother-in-law out of my house.
Chances on.
Well, if she's bad for you, then good for you. With those definitions, are you an empiricist?
Well, here we can see
Yes.
it again. Look at the way he glides past the
I feel so many people in power lie and know they're lying. They get away with it constantly. I'm beginning to think there isn't real punishment for such. In fact, maybe the opposite. Well, but the people in power...
1-0 then.
I mean, I just wrote a whole novel about this, so I won't get into it into too much detail. Again, freedomain.locals.com, a couple of bunks you can start, you can listen to. I did the first hour of the audiobook today. It's really great, in my opinion. They don't view it as lying.
And moving the ball
They don't view it as
nicely.
lying
Oh, big
at all.
chance.
When a tiger is lying in the grass, the tall grass, right?
How did he stop that?
Is he lying? I mean, he's pretending to be grass when he's not grass. He's not jumping up and saying, oh, by the way, Shere Khan says, I'm a tiger, not grass. Right? Not lying. He's simply doing what works. He's pretending to be something other than he is, to be tall grass rather than a tiger, because that's what gets him the meat. That's what gets him his food. So deception is foundational to nature. Deception is foundational to nature. The zebras do it with their stripes, which confuse the eye of the tiger or the lion, I suppose, in this circumstances. Sharks are pale on the bottom so that when you look up, they look like the sky, and they're dark on the top, so when you look down, they look like the bottom of the ocean or the depths. You ever see a cat slowly creeping up, silently as possible, moving so slowly that the mouse can't see it? Deception. You've got cuckoos laying their eggs in other birds' nests. Deception is foundational to nature. And nature is about power. So the people in power are acting in full accordance to nature. Oh, do I need to pretend like Dr. Oz, right? Do I need to pretend to be really conservative in order to get power? Okay, I'll pretend to be really conservative, which is fine until Jack Posobiec has his endless Alexandrian vault of receipts, right?
It's a short one.
They're not lying in the way that you and I would understand. They're simply saying what they need to say in order to get what they want.
Well, that's wonderful attacking play.
If you had a magic spell that gave you $10,000, would you use that magic spell? Sure you would. Are you lying? No, you're just speaking the words that get you the resources. Well, if you were trapped by someone and had to lie to that person to get out, you know the old, okay, you kidnapped me, but I really need to go to the washroom, when you don't actually have to go to the washroom. Okay, well, are you lying? No, you want your freedom, and you're going to say whatever words it takes to get your freedom. So don't look at them. I mean, yes, they're lying and so on, but because they're post-morality, beyond good and evil, right? They've given up, I believe, what is most human about them. That's the soul and the universals and the morality. So they know that other people care about morality, so they will use those moral standards, right? Isn't there some guy who was complaining about orgies in Washington, and now he's being attacked? It's like, well, I mean, the people who... Michel Foucault, right? I mean, the most cited modern philosopher, particularly on the left, was an AIDS-riddled child rapist. So they don't care about morality, but they know other people care about morality, so they'll use moral language to get what they want. Well, it's not lying because they don't have a standard of truth that they would wish to uphold. Like a sadistical torturer knows what really hurts his victims, where the real nerve clusters are and the pain centers are. He knows those things because he wants to inflict pain. Right? Whereas if, you're getting a massage, they're going to try and avoid the painful spots, or at least do them gently until they relax or whatever, right? So saying that those in power lie is like saying that predators hide until they can eat you. Yeah, of course they do. It's the only way they can.
The situation defensively.
Do you have any advice on the grief and acceptance thing? I can't seem to get there. Well, you can't get there because you still think that there's some solution other than grief. As long as you think there's a solution other than grief, you will simply stall grief, just delaying your life, delaying your movement forward.
Just 10 minutes to go.
You have to look deep in your heart and say, okay, what if there is nothing but grief? Right? All mental dysfunction in many ways is the avoidance of legitimate suffering. You accept that suffering and you'll be better thereby. Because you understand, if you don't grieve, you're never safe. If you don't grieve, the abuses that were done to you, you will never be safe. Grief is a way of saying, never again will this happen to me. I have fully grieved it, and therefore I have no repetition compulsion. I can identify these people. I will never let them back into my life, and all will be safe and secure and happy. Or at least safe and secure. Happiness can't be guaranteed, but safety and security, yes. Grieving is safety. When you fully grieve, for what was done to you as a child. It will never be redone to you as an adult. There's no such thing as cheating in nature. No, that's right. That's right. And post-morality, what's cheating?
Really intense pressure applied.
Post-morality, what is cheating, what is lying, right? You understand, the people in power are post-morality. They don't have a sense of ethics that you and I would understand. They will use ethical language because they know we're susceptible to it, but...
Corner kick though here.
Stefan, how do you see the Russia-Ukraine conflict ending? Is this conflict here to stay for a long time? Will it escalate into something else? Yeah, I know the answer to that, but I'm not going to talk about it. It's too close to politics.
That is how to run at defenders.
I observed there are more stage mothers than stage fathers when it comes to music, e.g. piano lessons. Thoughts? Well, in the past, women would show musical ability as a proxy for IQ, for intelligence, right? Musical ability, high dexterity, high mental This is why singing evolved, right? Singing, intense vocal control and the ability to be loud shows a form of high physical dexterity and ability, right? So women would learn foreign languages, though they would rarely speak them. They would learn piano, though they would rarely end up playing it professionally, as a way of saying, I have enough leisure to learn this, I have enough discipline to learn this, and I have enough motor control to do this well, which means I'm high quality, right? Remember, all of this stuff evolved before there were IQ tests. Steph, is there any value of men experimenting before settling down?